Expanse of Road America, magical things happen. Welcome to the Texaco Havoline 200. To the stars of the PPG Kart World Series, full contact racing has a home, Road America. The high speeds and close quarters of this 4-mile ribbon of asphalt in central Wisconsin produce more than just wheel-banging action. Road America is the kind of track that can turn a driver's world upside down, and where dreams of victory can evaporate in a cloud of smoke. It is raining, but raining more lightly at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The only clouds we've seen have brought rain to this 4-mile racetrack in eastern Wisconsin, but we expect to go racing before the day is out. Here are the weather conditions. Temperature 63 degrees with a breeze blowing that will help dry things out when the rain does stop, but the forecast is for on and off showers throughout the afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, along with Danny Sullivan, a 4-time pole sitter and a race winner here at Road America. Danny, I guess our first question has to be, how much water can this racetrack hold before we can go racing?
The problem here is if we get the standing water, and with the curbs on the inside, sometimes the water builds up there because it's cambered in that direction. If you get standing water with these big fat tires, when they get up on them, they'll just aquaplane and slide off the track. Now, of course, in IndyCar racing on road circuits, you race in the wet, but not under dangerous conditions. They don't want to put everybody out there, have everybody sliding off, hitting the fences, and have no race for the fans. The other problem here is we have straightaways, 3 long straightaways where they hit speeds of over 200 miles an hour. And with these low cars, fat tires, hunkered down on the track, they just act like a big vacuum, and the spray is unbelievable. In practice this morning, we had not as bad a conditions we have now. They were sliding off left and right. Look at this. That's about 140-mile-an-hour corner where one of them slid off right there. You can have these conditions. Put that with everybody else out there, you've got a real problem. And everybody at CART, the officials, really have to make this a safe race. They will race in the wet, but it still has to be safe conditions. If
you're familiar with the tracks of the Formula One World Championship, you may have seen Hockenheim. The Hockenheim ring, where the mist from the cars hangs in the trees. Road America is very much like that, so we have to be sure we have a very safe situation, even if it is wet, before we go racing. Gary Gerald is standing by with one of the men who will make that decision.
That man is Kurt Russell, Bob, and a lot of decisions have been going and talk, one thing or another. What can you tell us at this point about the chances of getting this race in, and what kind of a delay are we looking at, Kurt?
Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that we'll get the race in today. We've looked at the weather map. The weather map shows that there's probably this kind of rain for the next half hour, maybe 45 minutes. There's a real clear weather forecast behind this cell, and if this cell gets out of here before 5 o'clock, we're going to go racing.
Danny Sullivan was saying that certainly the key is safety for everybody involved. We've obviously seen pooled water. Is there water running across the track, or where are the concern areas?
Well, there's one area where there's water running across the track, and another area where water is standing beside the track, and there's a small area right behind us here at the pit exit. If this weather abates a bit, we'll be able to turn that around real quick. So the real problem right now is with the amount of rain that we have in these open-wheeled cars, the rooster tails coming off of these tires is going to make visibility very poor for the drivers that are following the leaders.
Now, in the event, it's a little after 3 o'clock local time now. If things don't work out and you can't get this race in today, any plan about what happens then?
Those plans are being worked on as we speak. Right now, there is not a plan. We're hoping to get it done today.
Okay, so as we say, a lot of things being mulled over. Everybody keeps watching the sky. Hopefully that radar report that maybe this will pass by 3:30, 3:45 will be on target. Kurt, we'll keep checking with you. Thanks.
Let's work on it together. We'll get it done.
All right, Bob.
All right, thanks very much, Gary. Heaven knows we don't want to go racing in unsafe conditions, but when you see these cars flying around this 4-mile racetrack, shooting mist rooster tails in the air, it's pretty spectacular stuff to watch. Now, joining us on our commentary team this weekend, a man who has just extended his SCCA Trans Am record to 10 consecutive victories, and he did it on a very wet track. Yesterday, Tom Kendall made this move in the carousel going around the outside of race leader Dorsey Schrader to take over the point. You see Schrader sliding as he tries to make traction on that normal racing line that gets very oily when it's wet. Tommy actually made a pit stop for tires, came out 45 seconds behind then leader Brian Simo, ran him down to take his 10th consecutive race. Tommy, that was quite a drive. Did you know you could catch Brian Simo at the end of that race?
I really didn't, and I was going to be the guy who was a hero or a goat. I made the call in the car that I wanted tires, and it never even entered my mind that everybody wouldn't stop. There was still 20 miles to go. It's only 5 laps, but it's 20 miles here at Elkhart Lake. So came out of the pits. They said minus 50. I said, don't you mean plus 50? They said no, minus 50. So we had to go to work.
Well, Tommy, yesterday, too, you had wet conditions, but, of course, as we saw in that, there was no spray coming off the car to speak of, and it actually dried later on. What about these conditions today?
Well, I'm glad it's them, not me, because today is much more difficult. We had kind of the best conditions. A lot of race drivers like difficult conditions. They like it slick. They get a chance to kind of flex their muscle, take a few extra chances, and so forth. But no one likes running when you can't control the car on the straightaway. When you have the standing water, you know, hydraulics, that's the principle of hydraulics. You cannot compress water, and that's what happens. People have a tough time believing it, but it just picks these cars up on a layer of water, and you're just a passenger. So most people like to run in the wet, but not necessarily monsoon.
Let's learn more now about the tires to be used when we do go running in the wet here at Road America. Here's Marty Reed.
Well, if you were with us at Portland, our other rain race, which was a real dandy, you remember that Firestone handed Goodyear a major setback. Well, Goodyear's gone back to the shop and reworked the compounds. In fact, let's show you what they've come out with. This is an entirely new tread design, both front and rears, and they are going for more grip in the heavy weather. Now, the flip side of that coin was, if you remember, Gilles de Ferran, he was gaining ground. The Goodyears were better as the track dried out. That was Firestone's weakness. Guess what? Firestone's gone back to the shop. They've changed their compound as well. They have a tire that will last longer as the track dries out. So, in essence, Portland, just throw it out the window. We're going to find out again who's got the best wet tire. Bob?
All right, thanks very much, Marty. As you see, folks, scattered around the hillsides here at Road America, anticipating the start of the Texaco Havoline 200. It's all about the run for the PPG Cup. With 4 races to go, including today's event at Road America, 10 men representing 7 teams are still in the running for the championship. Alex Zanardi, the points leader, a 27-point margin over Paul Tracy. No matter what happens here today, Alex Zanardi will be the points leader as we move in 2 weeks' time to the streets of Vancouver, British Columbia for the Molson Indy Vancouver. It continues to rain, but much more lightly than it was about 20 minutes ago. We expect to go racing today. Stand by for more from Road America.
Got him.
Cars are being moved into the pit lane as we hope the rain will lift and give us an opportunity to get round 14 of the PPG Kart World Series in. And when you're a person like this who's been sitting out here all night long waiting for the stars of the PPG Kart World Series, you deserve to get a race in, and we're certainly going to try to do that. A huge crowd showed up. Traffic jams all the way out to the interstate highway here in eastern Wisconsin. A packed house for what we hope will be an exciting race. And if you were with us last year in the dry, you know just how exciting Road America can be. Let's get down to the pit lane now, and Marty Reed.
Down here with Gilles de Ferran, who's still in the points championship chase. First off, we've talked about tires and the fact that Goodyear's brought out a new tire. You were like, I think, 3rd or 4th quickest this morning, so give me a comparison. Do you like the new compound?
Well, this morning the car was pretty good, and we were pretty happy with the car in the rain. But, you know, you have to really go into a race, everybody in the same conditions, pushing as hard as each other to really find out where you are there. So I think I'll reserve judgment for the time being.
All right, let's go back to Portland, because you were part of the closest finish ever in Kart PPG Series Championship history. Take us through, because your tires were better as it dried out.
Yeah, it was a decision that, you know, Derek took. It was a fantastic decision. Every bit the right decision was to remain on wet tires, even though the track was drying. And the Goodyear tires was actually behaving very well in the half and half conditions, not really wet and not really dry. And we were able to maintain the lead of the race up until throughout the last lap, and then coming out the last quarter, I thought, well, all I have to do now is to get good traction out of the last turn, and I'm going to be fine. And just accelerating out of the last turn when I was in 2nd gear. When I shift up to 3rd, the car just started wheel spinning, started to shake around a little bit like this. And Mark just got a run, you know, he had the dry tires on, and he just got a run coming out of the corner, and that was that.
Well, all I know is that you want the story to end a little differently. You don't mind the close finish. You just want to be on top, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, I actually thought I won there because we crossed the line. I thought it was 50 yards before, and I thought we won the race, but I was wrong.
Oh, well, maybe today. Gary, you're out on the grid. You staying dry, buddy?
I'm trying and not succeeding too well. Movement on the grid, if you will, but not the kind we were hoping to see as they get the field rolling. They're actually moving all of the cars here from the front straightaway, where you approach speeds of just over 200 miles per hour here at Road America, back onto the pit lane. So everybody, we're up here at pit exit, and you see all these different cars being turned around and taken back onto pit road to their respective pits. We understand that when they do get ready to go, that they'll be regridding the field on pit road. And then obviously you heard Kurt Russell talking about a couple of trouble spots, and they'll be going through with a blower and blowing some of the standing water, and I think that's why they're clearing the front straightaway at this time. So a lot of activity out here right now, but unfortunately it's not the kind that we want to see, so we continue to hang on. Crews at least can keep themselves busy for the next several minutes as they move from the front straightaway back to pit road. Bob?
All right, thanks, Gary. We hope that means that before too long we'll see jet dryers and other equipment out there. We don't need an absolutely dry track. We just need a safe one. Danny Sullivan with me, along with Tommy Kendall. Tommy, I want to get back to your Trans Am win yesterday for a second. You drive for Jack Roush and Roush Racing. ESPN viewers already know that Mark Martin won in Michigan in the Winston Cup race for Jack Roush. What is it about that team that brings you guys so much success?
Well, it starts right at the top with Jack. You know, he leads by example, and he's a very, very driven guy. But he's also, as he's gotten older, he's gotten smart enough to realize where his expertise is and where it's not. And he's brought in a lot of very, very good people. And he has, I believe, 10 race teams right now, and he's expanding to probably 12 or 13 next year. And so he's got a lot of good people in it. He still does all the engine stuff, which is his forte, but he's got a lot of very good chassis guys, engineers, et cetera. And it's a big, big organization now. And in our case, we're kind of our own unit. We get to run by ourselves. Jack doesn't meddle a lot, but he's brought the people together, gives us whatever we need to win, and the proof's in the pudding.
Well, we talked on our On the Grid show over on ESPN2 about your future. Would you like to stay with Jack Roush, and how far do you think he could take you?
I'll tell you what, he can take you as far as he wants. You know, like I said, I alluded to how many teams he's got. So it's one of these things where he took a shot on me back in '92. Right now, he looks like a smart guy. But back then, I was coming back from my injuries, and I really owe a lot to both him and Ford. He didn't say, let's test, let's see how your feet are. He said, sign him up, let's go racing. And we were able to win the championship that first year back. And so, you know, I owe him a little bit of debt as well. And you'd be a fool to leave such a great organization, whether it's in Trans Am, truck racing, or what have you. So I'm not quite sure what the future holds for next year. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding Trans Am especially, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
You raced here in the rain yesterday. Where are the trouble spots out here when the rain does fall?
Tell you what, everywhere online, and so that makes it tough because there's only one fast line around the racetrack, and you work a long time perfecting that and so forth, and it's hard to get yourself to go to some of these unorthodox places looking for grip, but that's really what it takes, and some of which you find by accident, some of which you know, science out a little bit. You see another guy doing, you incorporate it into your stuff. So it's treacherous, even when it's just wet. But with standing water, we already talked about that. It is downright impossible.
Tommy, one of the things too that I know I found tough, and I'm sure you agree. What are these drivers going through right now? Imagine the up and downs. Everybody's prepared for the race. Everybody's ready to go. They're psyched up. It was wet, but it wasn't so treacherous that they couldn't start until right before we started getting the puddling. What do you figure they're going through right now?
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You ask every one of those guys, they're going to say this sucks. And the uncertainty is what kills you, because we all, you know, we race in the rain, we raced in difficult conditions before. You want to know it's either on or it's off, so you can get yourself in that mind frame and you try to keep yourself up. And once the green flag drops, I don't think any of the guys have any nerves. It's right now when you're anticipating, don't know what to expect.
You know, the part too for me that I always find that's interesting is everybody says, oh, I don't really mind driving in the rain. I don't really mind it. I don't really mind it either, but I never really enjoyed it. I mean, it's still, the conditions are not the way you want to race. And I think, do you feel the same, especially in a Trans Am car where you got a lot more weight and, of course, that body around you and, of course, out of the weather conditions?
That roof comes in handy keeping the rain off you. But the main thing, really, no one probably would choose to race in the rain. Some people don't mind it. But there is also a mindset where you like to go out there, and when things are really clicking for you and your team, sometimes you feel like you've got a bit of an advantage in the rain. I'm careful before I say we're praying for rain, because a lot more things happen. You're prone to make mistakes, and nobody's exempt from that. So first thing out on the first practice session, on my out lap, I put it in the gravel trap on Friday morning, and scrapped the whole session. So I had to come in and explain to the guys, apologize, and so forth. And you need to be careful before saying, oh, I love to race in the rain. I'd rather. It can come back to bite you.
And I suppose that applies to your broadcasting career, too. We were going to put you down in turn 5 out in the open. Would you rather stay here?
I would much rather stay here. There's my perch for this morning's warm-up. That was I realize this TV stuff's quite glamorous.
That's right. Everybody thinks it's so easy. I know you had to go change your clothes after the warm-up session. That's a pretty exciting corner. Right now, there is a big puddle down there in 5. One of the problems we're dealing with, the squeegees are out, the brooms as well. There you see the course workers working on it. We plan to go racing the Texaco Havoline 200 today. It remains to be seen if we can do it. When we do, it will be magic to watch, the best in the rain. We'll be back.
Michael came onto the scene in IndyCars as a winner. I'm very...
Points leader Alex Zanardi waiting with the rest of the stars of the PPG Kart World Series for the signal to get into their race cars. Marty Reed is with him.
Yes, we are, and it's second time we've talked today. Before on our On the Grid show over on ESPN2. The mental side of this thing, you have Formula One experience. You were saying that, hey, if this was an F1 race, we'd be going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got my feet dry, so I'm been here. I haven't been around in the corners, but I guess this kind of rain should have stopped a race. And once again, I can't really judge. All I'm saying is that if there is some corners that are really in bad condition, I heard stories that in the past they had this problem again. They should have fixed it, and we should be going.
Let's talk a little bit about this morning's practice. You were quickest by 2 seconds, but even you had an off. What happened there?
I think the circuit is very slick and very difficult in some places, but when you go out on Sunday morning, you normally go out with new rotors and new pads, and you have to bet those. And basically, by my third lap, I had the brakes ready to go on the front of the car and not even coming in the rear. So I locked the front, and the car just slid. So I let it go. I drove straight, came back into it, and didn't damage, fortunately, anything.
Yeah, we were wondering if you would want to do like our off-road program.
No. The car is running very well. I hope we can get it going, but you know, more than everything for the fans. I know that they've been doing their carburation with a lot of beer on the stands, but you know, it's gonna be cold and wet up there, so I hope we can offer them some show.
Well, we're gonna find out here pretty soon, Bob.
All right, thanks very much, Marty. Alex Zanardi must now stand and wait. A 27-point lead in the championship. No matter what happens, he'll be the points leader going into our next race 2 weeks from now in Vancouver. Danny, you've been in that position as the points leader. What advice would you give Alex Zanardi going into this race?
Well, if the conditions are as they are and it stays wet like this, he's got a very difficult thing. He was quickest in the morning when it was damp, but he's got to balance that. He can't go too fast and throw it away and slide off like he did in the thing in the practice and take a chance of getting stuck in the gravel pit. His race is run, or worse, hit the fence. He's got to try to balance it, score as many points as he can, and move that championship out there a little bit further. So he's got to play a little bit of a conservative game, particularly in these conditions.
Going to be tough for a guy like Alex Zanardi, who drives with so much passion. I mean, that come from behind win at Cleveland. He's won 3 of the last 4 races. He's looking so tough right now.
Alex is in a difficult situation. His momentum's going. He's pumped up. He wants to get out there and race. He's obviously good in the wet conditions. They've got a good tire with the Firestone. Everything's heading that way. But if he makes a mistake, just for example, and he slides off and eliminates himself out of this race, and his closest competitors, Paul Tracy, Michael Andretti, Greg Moore, score maximum points, he's just let him back in the game. Right now, he's got a 27-point cushion. He needs to score some points, a 5th place, a 6th place, just to keep moving that goalpost out there, out of their reach. It makes it more difficult on them as the season goes on.
Keep in mind, 10 different men still running for the championship, 7 different teams, and they represent 6 different combinations of engine, chassis, and tires. As you look at the points right there and the wins for each of the 10 men still in the hunt. Tommy Kendall, you told me that part of the fun of doing this job this weekend is you'd be out here watching the race anyway as a fan. Your thoughts on the series to date?
Tell you what, I am a hardcore race fan. When I take my suit off on Saturdays, I'm on the couch, standing up there, jumping up and down in my underwear. So I'll spare you the underwear part here, but I'm going to be doing the same thing. If I get excited and jump out of my chair, just bear with me. I love it. I've always had aspirations to race in Indy cars, but have never made it there, but I'm still an unabashed fan. So this is kind of a dream come true for me. I can sit here and we do a lot of quarterbacking from the armchair there. You should have done this, should have done that. Now I'm there, and I get to be held accountable. I used to pick on you guys too, so I have new respect.
All right, thanks very much. We'll see if you still do at the end of the day. We're going to take a break. Here's the remaining schedule following this weekend's business at Road America, the Molson Indy Vancouver, where Michael Andretti is the defending champion. Only he and Al Unser Jr. have won there among active drivers. Then the Toyota Grand Prix at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. Alex Zanardi, remember the pass on Brian Herta last year? And then we'll wrap it up at the California Speedway. Stay with us. America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, in the kettle moraine, where the kettle is just about brimming over after some heavy showers that have delayed the start of the Texaco Havoline 200. While officials work on the course, there looks to be a little bit of a parlay going on down there. Gary Gerald, what's happening?
I tell you what, these guys are ingenious. They've rolled their portable card table out here. Greg Moore and members of his team are playing a game known as 31. Greg, we're gonna lean over your shoulder here. I know you're plotting strategy. I know there's a lot at stake here. Oh, he's laying down a queen and an ace of diamonds and a king of clubs. This doesn't look too good.
Actually, that beat some of these guys, so I actually didn't lose anything that hand, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a fun game, passes a lot of time, and most people in the IndyCar community know the game, so it's a lot of fun.
Now let's talk about, we mentioned the stakes here. You see these little pieces. Rick will come around here, and this is money in this game, I guess, right here. Tell us about what's at stake.
There's actually $35 at stake here. It's $5 to get into the game, and you know, but more importantly, it's just something to pass some time before we get out this afternoon and try and win this race.
Well, we got to take you back a couple of days. As this weekend started, you had a very frightening incident out here when you ended up setting crossways in the racetrack, and all of a sudden there came that blue car and Max Pappas, Mad Max, at the wheel. And tell us what happened.
Basically, I had spun, and it was just a simple little spin. I was sitting there, and I was on the radio to the guys telling them the car was okay. I was just waiting, and Max came around the turn, and I watched him all the way spin right into me, and I guess there was no yellow flag displayed, and you know, it's unfortunate, but I guess sometimes that happens in racing, and you know, most important thing is that we're okay here, and we got a race that we got to try and race today.
Yeah, potentially that could have been a devastating situation. As it turned out, I think it was kind of minimal damage as far as both of the cars are concerned, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Max's car had to get sent back to England to get a couple things fixed, but my guys here, you know, they'll take the car back to Indy today or tomorrow and get it fixed, and we'll be testing at Phoenix just before the race in Vancouver, and then we'll try and win Vancouver at home.
Now, as he continues to deal, Rick Rice, our cameraman, I want you to come around this side, and we're going to take a look at the footwear that Greg Moore has here, because this is one of those important things. He's got bags down here, tie wrapped around his ankles. That's to make sure that the soles of those driving shoes stay dry when he eventually gets a chance to get back out here. Greg, we're going to ask you one more question before you get away. How about your plans for 1998? Can you tell us anything at this point?
1998, I'm still here with Players Forsyth team. I think it's one of the best teams in the paddock, and you know, I'm very fortunate that I've got a very good ride here. I got one of the greatest sponsors in Canadian racing, and you know, we're looking good for this year, and you know, I think we can finish in the top 3. I think we still have a shot at the championship, but more importantly, we'll win it next year.
Okay, get back to that card game. There's another card game going on a little further down the road here of Transporters, I guess. Marty, going to tell us about that?
Yeah, Gary, maybe we should have the Davis racing team here challenge the Players team. This is a game called 31. I guess the object is to get up the total of 31 points. Obviously, the stress is affecting Walter Salas and the guys here extreme. I mean, are you winning at this?
Actually, if I lose this round here, I'm out of the game, and it's going to cost me $3, so I'm pretty nervous about that.
All right, well, we're looking over your shoulder at your cards here. I have this feeling like you're going to make another donation to the cause.
See? I got a good one now, so I'm in good shape. I have 3 of the same kinds. I don't have enough points yet, so I cannot knock. When I get more than 21, I can knock, and I can beat them.
It's too complicated for me, guys. All I know is that these are the monetary equivalent that they are dealing with here. A washer. It's worth about, what, about a half a cent? But I have a feeling it's worth a little bit more to these guys. What's your plans for next year? Let's talk a little bit about that. We're talking with all the other guys.
This is my first season in karts. I'm pretty happy with the Davis team. We are getting better all the time. We're starting the race to 12 today. And it's just building up, have a good winter testing, and be fighting to win races next year.
The jump from Indy Lights to kart PPG championship status, has it been everything you expected this year?
Oh yeah, it's very hard, it's very competitive. The level, it's so intense. The drivers are real good. So you gotta be spot on. The setup, you have to be driving, you have to have a good lap in qualifying. Otherwise you're gonna start very far back. But I feel pretty comfortable. I think I'm nearly ready to fight for podium finish.
Well, I'll tell you what, while they weren't looking and you were talking, I snuck a couple of washers over to you, so I think you're still in the game. So, Bob, it's all yours. We're going to try and keep Walter from going bankrupt here.
Well, when was the last time that a TV guy slipped some money to a racing driver to let him stay in a card game? And is that U.S., Canadian, or Brazilian they're playing for? The rain is definitely letting up. We'll try to get the track set to race and see if we can get this one in. The Texaco Havoline 200 from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The lake's getting bigger by the minute. Stay with us. Executive Officer of the Championship Auto Racing Teams, Mr. Andrew Craig. Thank you very much for joining us, Andrew.
Well, it's good to be here, although I think we'd rather be racing on the track right now, but it's not to be.
I think we'd all like to be racing right now. Can you give us an update on our situation?
Well, right now, the clouds that are causing this rain, they're stuck right over the track. We still hope that within 45 minutes or so, we may be able to go racing. If we can't get going by 5 o'clock, then quite frankly, I think we may have to call it for the day, because by then it's just getting too late to race. In which case, we then need to make a decision about when we do race, which probably will be tomorrow, but that decision's not yet been made.
Andrew, now the conditions are very dangerous. Is that anything like what you experienced on Friday night in that go-kart race?
On Friday was much worse, much more dangerous. There was some maniacs out there. I think one of them was you, actually.
It was. But can you tell the fans what happened to you during that race?
Well, I, along with a lot of other people, actually turned my go-kart upside down. and I have the bruises to prove it.
You were quite spectacular, but hopefully we won't see any of that today, and hopefully we will get a race in and put on a great show for the fans as usual.
It was not as spectacular as when I drove a motorbike into the side of Jerry Forsyth's transporter, but that's another story.
Let's talk a little bit about the season to date. You have to be pleased with the level of competition and the results we've been seeing. Some spectacular finishes.
We have. I mean, we're just delighted. I think we've had one of our best seasons ever. So many drivers who can go out there and win on the day, and so many real champions coming through in this series.
Well, Andrew, is it true that the owners, who of course you are employed by somewhat, are banning you from any other competition on motorbikes and go-karts and that type of thing?
Well, I haven't heard that yet, and I am indeed employed by them, but actually it might be a relief for me. It'd certainly be a relief for the other competitors.
Let's talk about this schedule. I mean, there are a lot of plans for next year. We've heard about the circuit at Motegi in Japan. What can you tell us about 19?
In Houston. We're looking forward to that very much indeed. That's a street race in downtown Houston, so that should be a great event for us. And that will be in October, 4th of October. And then, of course, the other big addition to the series is our new race in Japan on the brand new oval, 60 miles north of Tokyo in Motegi. And I was out there a couple of weeks back along with Chip Ganassi and Jimmy Vasser for the official opening. And this is just a terrific facility. It's just wonderful. I mean, everything's perfect. It's ready to go. We could race in it today, in fact. But we won't be racing there until the 28th of March next year. We're looking forward to it very much.
Do you see a ceiling to the number of races that the teams can realistically handle during the course of a season?
Yeah, absolutely. There are two issues that govern the ceiling. One is cost. Obviously, it's a very expensive business to go IndyCar racing, and adding races adds cost. Now, of course, for a sponsor's point of view, it adds value, but we've got to make sure that the extra payments keep up with the extra costs. So that's very important. And the other thing is, when you're running a series such as ours with cars with a high level of technology involved, we really can't run every weekend. I mean, we do that. We do 3 in a row, for instance, at one stage of the season. But running races back-to-back is very, very expensive and very time-consuming, and you need time to prepare these cars. So I really think that that 20 would be an absolute maximum. And I think most of the teams are pretty happy where they are right now.
Andrew, if we keep adding venues like Houston and Motegi in Japan and so forth, which tracks are eventually going to be pushed aside, if you know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't want to make any comments on that right now, but obviously as the series develops, things are going to change and we're going to progress. We have very good relationships with all our promoters, and we're very loyal to them, and they're very loyal to us. So, you know, right now that's not something we're thinking about. But obviously, you know, things change over time, and we'll have to keep a careful eye on that. He says, avoiding the question.
Well, a lot of good things have happened this season. Perhaps one of the troubling things from the point of view of administering a series with so much competition, so much equality, is the problems faced by Lola cars this year. What's your take on that situation?
I think it's a real disappointment to everybody in the sport to see a great name like Lola get into the difficulties they face. I mean, Lola have been here for years. They're almost synonymous with our kind of racing. So for us, you know, first and foremost, it's a very sad thing. Secondly, I think, and I think everybody would agree, that having as many chassis manufacturers involved in the series is really important. And I don't want to see us land up with just one or two dominant chassis. So I'd like to see Lola revived. I'd like to see them back. The good news is, of course, that with Swift developing a very competitive product, hopefully next year they're going to be just more than one Swift team. In fact, I'm sure that will be the case. So that's good news. But certainly everybody in the sport wants to see Lola back and in the winner's circle.
You were also a part of an important ceremony this weekend as Buddy Rice and Matt Sealski, two great young racers, are being given the opportunity to go abroad and race next year. And I know you take a great interest in up-and-coming drivers in the series.
Buddy and Matt are two terrific guys. So they really impressed all of us involved in the selection process. We think as motorsports grows throughout the world, it's really important that young American drivers get the chance to compete in other parts of the world. We think that's good for their futures. It gives them an opportunity to develop their careers. And also, obviously, it's good because it showcases them here as well as in Europe. So we're delighted to be a supporter of the program, along with Havoline, along with several other of our teams, actually. We're delighted to be a part of that and very pleased with sending two really hot young American drivers to race in Europe.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for being with us. That's Andrew Craig, CEO of Championship Auto Racing Teams. We're going to step away for a moment and come back with more from Road America as we're waiting out the rain here at the Texaco Havoline 200. Stay with us.
As the season begins to wind down, one of the things I know you're concerned about is the safety element, as everybody is today. And early today, you were, I believe, lobbying the CART officials for a single file start if, in fact, it was wet.
Yeah, I wanted them to do on the start, actually, to do it on a yellow flag with the dual start so the fans would see it as its normal way. But then as they got past there for the restart, to do it single file. I just think that makes sense that, you know, we don't need all the cars crashing on the first turn. The fans don't need it, and I just think it'd be a safety factor, and I hope they take that into consideration.
I know that you and everybody have been impressed with what this young driver has done, and he touched on the fact that it's been tough to finish races to get points, but still, I think he's impressed virtually everybody with his skills, and I think everybody feels like he's on the verge of breaking through and being able to finish and run with the elite.
Yeah, we've had, you know, the old Murphy's Law. We've had something different happen every time, and it's been very discouraging for us because we've been there quite a few times. I think he's had the fastest lap in 2 races. We've led 3 races. We've had you know, the pole. So with all of those things, you'd think you'd win a race once in a while, or at least come in on a podium. We haven't been able to, but I think one of these days we're going to do it. When we do it, well, I think we'll do it big.
Let's hope we can do it before this day's over.
Let's hope so.
Marty Reed, you're close by.
Yeah, actually, Gary, we're going to talk to some of the people who make all this happen, the fans. You can see the group that has been watching the interview that you've been doing with Dario and with Carl, and I'm going to move in and find out some names and places and hometowns. Let's start right here.
Hi, I'm from Minneapolis. I'm Steve.
Steve, you got a last name? Don't tense up on me now. Don't be nervous.
Steve Bauman.
Okay, now everybody back in Minneapolis is going, oh, my God, Steve made it to TV.
I wonder what it's like back there. Maybe it's sunny. Who knows? But I sure wish it'd be sunny here.
Well, then let's just move the whole race to Minneapolis, right?
There we go.
Okay, who's over here?
Rich Huffman, Half Moon Bay, California.
All the way from California. You're an avid fan.
Yes.
And it never rains in California.
It's sunny there right now.
Who's the young fan back here? Let me see if I can get it. What's your name, sweetheart? I knew it. Always ask the shy ones.
How you doing?
I'm fine. What's your daughter's name here?
Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. You're only on nationwide TV. Millions of people want to say hi to you.
No.
I guess we're not going to do that. Who else came very far from, like, how far did you come?
About 8 hours.
Oh, yeah? And on crutches. That must have taken a long time.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Jennifer Haynes.
Jennifer? So where's home?
Silver Lake, Indiana.
Silver Lake, Indiana. So is somebody going to give you a ride back home so you don't have to wear your arms out?
I hope so.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jennifer. Anybody else a long, long way from home? Anybody else just ready to go get dry? I'll tell you what. What brings you to Road America? Why do you come to this racetrack over any other?
Best racing in the whole world right here.
Okay.
Definitely.
Any other reasons? Anybody got any special feelings on why they come to Road America over here on my left here?
Discount tickets.
A man after our own heart, guys. Anybody come for the brats? Well, yeah, now we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty. Hey, Bob, I'm going to go try and dry off a little bit, and I may even head for the brats.
All right, Marty, why don't you bring one back for everybody in the booth if you're going to do that. As you can see, the parking lots may not be fit for racing, but hopefully the racetrack will be soon. Former winners of this track, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Michael Andretti with 3 wins apiece. Jacques Villeneuve won twice. Paul Tracy, our own Danny Sullivan, Jacques Villeneuve the Elder, that's young Jacques' uncle, and Hector Abaque back in 1982, who came all the way from 9th on the grid to win the first race held here at Road America in the PPG Kart World Series. We're going to take a break. We hope to be back with a track dry enough to race very soon. Stay with us. Fall, but much lighter than it did just a short while ago. We hope to get the Texaco Havoline 200 in very soon. One of the treats for the fans who have gathered here at Road America is watching the regular featured performers of every stop on the PPG Kart World Series. Those are the PPG Pace Cars. They're based in Strongsville, Ohio, home to 31 high-tech cars and the trailers that carry them around the country. The staff, which includes 4 team managers, 2 mechanics, 14 drivers from all over the country, and 10 assistants, make up the team. Since 1981, when the program started with just 4 cars, to the present 31, millions of dollars are spent every year on research and development. The goal is to have a pace car represented by every car manufacturer, and of course, every one of them outfitted in PPG's industry-leading automotive finishes. At the racetrack, they take VIP guests around at top speed, driven by the female pace car team. Over 17,000 people were able to experience a ride in a pace car last year. Gary Gerald.
Boy, and I'll tell you, it is fun to go in one of those safety cars and get a ride around the circuit. I'll tell you, a lot of fans get a chance to do that out here to talk to us, and we're going to take a little tour of his office in a moment. But 2 wins this year, the breakthrough year for you and the Pac West team. Let's go back, first of all, the race that you almost won but didn't, the one at Detroit. And the heartbreak there is your teammate ran out of fuel on the last lap, and you got within about 100 yards of the checkered flag, and then it was no-go for you. That probably the lowest point in your racing career?
That's got to be one of the lowest points because we got so close. But, you know, I've always said from the bad news came the good news of that race. We knew we could run at the front, and we know we could win a race, and it was only a week or so after that we did.
And it was under conditions much like this when we had rain. It was off and on rain at Portland, and then the high drama of that charge to the checkered flag and the masterful job that you did of holding off the competition because they were coming, and they were coming fast. You really had your hands full, didn't you?
That was a great day and a fantastic race. I mean, the conditions were very similar to this to a certain extent. When we were running very strong in the wet, but then as the circuit dried out, we made a good decision on tires, and we came from some 30 seconds behind and just won by 27 thousandths of a second. And I loved every minute of it, and I know everybody in the team did as well. They enjoyed it.
And then, of course, a couple of weeks later in Toronto on the streets, you qualified for the front row in the 2nd spot, and you went on to get your 2nd consecutive victory. And I don't know if it's fair to ask if that's at all surprising, because sometimes people say once you've broken through, it's easier to win the next one. Would you buy into that theory?
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, it's tough to get there for a win, and it's even tougher to stay up there. But, you know, when we went to Toronto, that was a different race for us. We qualified very well, front row, and we led from start to finish. And then when you win a race like that, that's very rewarding. And, you know, I'd love to go and win more races like that for sure.
We mentioned that you'd give us a quick little tour of your office. The office is a very small one, the cockpit of these cars. The seats are molded to fit around the driver, and I believe you are as snug as a bug in a rug. There's no question about it. I noticed right here that you've got a map of this circuit on the steering wheel. Now, why is that?
Basically, that's just for me and my engineer so we can communicate a lot faster. We can go and relate to one corner in particular. So we got the numbers on the map of the circuit. And, you know, rather than me going around the track and saying, oh, the left-hander here or so forth, I can just go like turn 5, and we instantly relate to that, and we can see if we've got a problem.
Now, you can also see these various buttons here on the steering wheel. Kind of talk us through what each of these little toggles and what the colored buttons over here on the right side of the wheel do.
Oh, basically there with the 2 colored buttons, the yellow and the blue button, there for turbo boost, so we can adjust the boost. And we go across them, we've got a refuel set button.
Which one? Is that this one over here?
Black toggle switch, and then the green switch is for our speed restrictor coming into the pit lane. That restricts us to 60 miles per hour on the exit and the entry of the pit lane to make sure that we don't overspeed. And then we've got the radio toggle switch up ahead, and we just need that for communication, 2-way communication. And this white button here is yeah, well, that's a trade secret. We'll probably have to leave that out of the equation at the moment.
That's the one, I think, that relates to fuel mapping, and that's the go button that gives you that little extra boost of horsepower if you need it in a critical situation. Am I on the right track?
You could be on the right track, but I can't say so. Otherwise, I'm going to get told off.
How about you and the Pac West team for 1998? Anything firmed up for next year?
We're working on it at the moment. I'm, you know, very much looking forward to staying here. And I think me and Bruce McCall at this point in time, we're having some good talks, and hopefully we're going to be there very soon.
Thank you for your time and the tour of your office, and go have fun at 200 miles per hour.
Thanks very much.
Let's go to Marty, who's with the youngest driver, I believe, competing in the series. Marty?
20-year-old Michel Jourdain and one of his team co-owners, Dale Coyne. I'm going to start over with Michel first off. Nerves at age 20 always play a factor, although you look pretty calm. You'd like to get this race going, right?
Yes, I'm pretty calm. I mean, yes, I just want to race. I like racing in the rain. The problem is in this track is with all the trees, the water stays there, no wind, so it's very impossible to see. In Portland, I thought was the worst place to see in the rain behind one car, but here it's much worse. In the warm-up wasn't that wet, and it was impossible to see. So I think in the start here would be impossible.
You're coming off one of your best performances of the year, even though it didn't end up well. You were at 6th last week at Mid-Ohio, and had to be a good boost for you and the team.
Yes, I think we feel pretty happy. It's a shame here Friday in qualifying. It was my first time here, and we ran into traffic both of our good laps, because here it takes you so long to make one lap, and it takes you a lot. So I was doing two good laps, and both are running traffic. So it's a shame we qualified that back. I think we are much faster than that. The whole team, the Herders de Mexico and the crew of the Peyton Coyne Racing deserves to be much more in the front, but I'm sure we'll be good in the race.
Let's move over to team owner Dale Coyne. I'm going to put you on the spot, and because this will hurt in contract negotiations, evaluate this young talent.
Well, I think he's done a good job. I mean, starting the year off with the Lola chassis, which we struggled with, but it taught him patience. And now we've got the Renard, and he's done a really good job in that car. And for 20 years old, he's very mature. He's calm today, and we're just looking forward to get after this thing.
Are you guys going to be together next year?
Yeah, we are. We're looking forward to next year. We'll put probably the same equipment package that we have now. And but I think with the strong finish at the end of this season, some good off-season testing, we're looking forward to next year.
Thanks, guys. Bob, I got some good news for you. It's down to a very light drizzle out here.
All right, thanks very much, Marty. Good luck to Michel Jourdain. When we get the Texaco Havoline 200 underway, the rain has stopped. We can see the hills in the distance. That's a good sign. Stay with us for more from Road America and the Texaco Havoline 200. Rain has stopped. We anticipate drying the track shortly and getting the Texaco Havoline 200 underway. We are now told by officials that we will have a start at the top of the hour, 5 o'clock local. That's 6 o'clock Eastern time. Right now, we'd like to take you back 1 year ago and show you a little bit of how wild it can be when we race here at Road America. Danny Sullivan and I shared the microphone in the announce position. Let's take you back to the Texaco Havoline 200, 1996. In just a moment. Danny, how does this delay change strategy?
Well, it throws everything out the window, because before it was pouring with rain. It was very wet. Everybody, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do on their setups, how they were going to change things around. Now, with the skies clearing and no rain, they've got to think, hey, this is going to start off wet. It's going to be slippery, but as these cars drive around and dry this track out, it's probably going to end up in a dry condition. So what are we going to do about fuel? What are we going to do about tires? What kind of a race we're going to run? Everybody's in that pit right now scrambling, trying to figure out their strategy.
Well, if you were with us at Portland earlier this year, you know what happens on a drying track with these cars and drivers. Now, here's what's going to happen tonight. At 7 p.m. Eastern Time, following coverage of the NHRA from Brainerd on ESPN2, the Texaco Havoline 200 will be joined in progress. At 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time tonight, you will see our coverage on ESPN. And tomorrow, Monday, between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, you will see a re-air of the Texaco Havoline 200. Coming up next, tennis, the final match from the Pilot Pen International, Rafter versus Kavelnikov from New Haven, Connecticut. We'll join you on the Deuce at 7 o'clock Eastern. So long, everyone.
The Giants get 4. Well, Monday night, 10:30 Eastern Time, very special look back at the anniversary. 30 years now since Tony Conigliaro was beaned by a Jack Hamilton fastball. And for the first time, we believe, Jack Hamilton speaks about the incident on a television camera. Please join us, 10:30 Eastern Time, Monday night for Baseball Tonight. For Howard Reynolds, I'm Carl Ravitch. Thanks for watching this edition of Baseball Tonight.
The skies over Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin are clearing, and with them the championship picture in the PPG Kart World Series. Welcome to round 14, the Texaco Havoline 200. To the stars of the PPG Kart World Series, full contact racing has a home, Road America. The high speeds and close quarters of this 4-mile ribbon of asphalt in central Wisconsin produce more than just wheel-banging action. Road America is the kind of track that can turn a driver's world upside down, and where dreams of victory can evaporate in a cloud of smoke. After a day washed with rain and a 2¼ hour of delay, the stars of the PPG Kart World Series are on track in preparation for round 14, the Texaco Havoline 200. Here are the weather conditions. The temperature has not changed, the wind has not changed, but the humidity is coming down because the rain has stopped. The forecast calls for clouds and clearing, and that's the best news at all. It's going to be a long afternoon here at Road America. After 13 rounds of the championship, 10 men from 7 teams are still in the running, led by Alex Zanardi with a 27-point lead over Paul Tracy. No matter what happens here, Zanardi will be the leader in 2 weeks' time as we move to Vancouver, but the 9 men behind him can take a big step closer to the Italian in the run for the PPG Cup. Welcome, everyone. I'm Bob Barsha, along with 4-time Road America pole sitter and race winner Danny Sullivan. Danny, a long rain delay. The drivers have had a lot of time to walk around, play cards, get ready for this race. What does it do to their heads?
Very tough. They've been up for a long time. Remember, your optimum performance comes about 5 hours after you wake up. We're long into a day. But what's going to happen right now is with these big fat tires, these low-slung cars, they're going to suck the moisture off of this track like a vacuum. It's eventually going to get dry if we get no more rain during the course of the early stages. And the strategy is going to change at that stage. So there's a lot of scrambling going on. Everybody's thinking what's going to happen, and nobody really knows.
It should be a terrific race, and contributing to it is the track itself. 4 miles of asphalt here in eastern Wisconsin, 14 turns. There you see the passing areas and the danger zones, about 160 feet of elevation change. The highest point, the start-finish line, the lowest point on the long backstretch between turns 11 and 12. Joining us this week down in turn 5, a prime passing area, Trans Am racer Tommy Kendall, who yesterday in the rain here at Road America picked up his record-extending 10th consecutive win this year. Welcome, Tommy. What do you expect down there in 5?
I'll tell you what, there is nobody more excited than I am right now, because if I had to pick one place to watch a motor race anywhere in the world, it would be turn 5 at Elkhart Lake. So what makes it so exciting is there are very few places where you can see an Indy car go from top speed 200 miles an hour down all the way through the gearbox to first gear, and it's none in a setting like this. So I'm ready to go racing. The fans here are pumped.
All right, thank you, Tommy. Now let's take a look at the starting grid for today's Texaco Havoline 200. On the pole for the second time this year, Mauricio Guglielmin of Brazil, still looking for his first win, alongside his teammate, Mark Blundell. His win in Toronto came from the second starting position. Row 2, Alex Zanardi, who's won 3 of the last 4 races to take the points lead, and Dario Franchitti, the fastest rookie qualifier for the 6th time this year. Row 3 will be Michael Andretti, a 3-time winner here, including last year, and Scott Pruitt, who won earlier this year in Australia. Row 4 will be Gilles de Ferran, who scored points in 9 of the last 10 races, alongside Brian Herta, who was close to his first career win before an exploding tire put him on the sidelines last week at Mid-Ohio. Row 5 will be Raul Boisel of Brazil and Greg Moore, the runner-up last week at Mid-Ohio. Row 6 will be Bobby Rahal, the only driver to have started all 16 races here at Elkhart Lake, and Walter Salas, who qualified to equal his best career start. Row 7 will be Jimmy Vasser, the reigning PPG Kart World Series champion, and Al Unser Jr., although he's never won here, he's finished second 4 times. Row 8 will be Paul Tracy, the 93 winner here at Road America, and Andre Ribeiro. On Row 9, Parker Johnstone and Christian Fittipaldi, who led the first 15 laps here a year ago. Row 10 will be Mikel Jourdain Jr. and Patrick Carpentier, who's in a backup car after a big practice crash down in Canada Corner. Row 11 will be Juan Fangio II, the fastest Toyota qualifier for only the 3rd time this year, and Adrian Fernandez. On Row 12, Max Pappas, one of his best career finishes, a 9th, came here last year. He'll be alongside Richie Hearn in one of the troublesome Lolas. On row number 13, P.J. Jones in Dan Gurney's All-American Racers Toyota-powered Eagle Reynard, and Arndt Meyer, one of 7 drivers making his first start here at Road America. On row 14, Japanese driver Hiro Matsushita and Charlie Neerberg making his second career start, following up on Cleveland. There's a view from high overhead. The cars are on the track. Let's get down to Gary Gerald.
This is a very big day for the tire manufacturers and their new rain tires. A year ago, Goodyear had a dominant edge. Then we saw rain at Portland this year, and it was Firestone leaping ahead and Goodyear struggling to catch up. Firestone came in with a new channeling device in the grooves on their rain tire. They've won 7 straight this year, but as the track dried in Portland, conditions that are very similar to right now, Goodyear quickly caught up. So what did Firestone do in the interim? They went and came up with a new compound to make this tire more durable. If the track dries, they hope it'll be a more successful tire than it was at Portland. Goodyear, meanwhile, has made key changes too, and Marty Reed has that story.
Thanks, Gary. Yes, they went back to the drawing board after handing their lunch handed to them at Portland by Firestone. The Goodyear engineers came up with an entire new tread design, a lot more grip. That's what they were going for in the heavy, wet conditions. Their tire just did not perform well. But as Gary pointed out, as the track dried out, then their tire worked better, worked longer than the Firestone. So now they've given up some of that durability to get more grip in the wet. This is going to be real interesting, Bob.
All right, thanks very much, guys. This is the final pace lap before we anticipate the green flag. Here are some of the stories we'll be following. Build up and so forth. Tires, it's been declared a wet race. Everyone must start on grooved wet weather tires. We'll see how they hold up. Staying on track will be everything. The drivers have been told if you wind up in a gravel trap, your race is over, and the grass is very, very slick. And, of course, it's all about the battle for the championship. A great race about to unfold. Stay with us. We're just moments away from the green flag here at Road America.
Got him now.
Yeah, if I could only see.
I've got the perfect thing.
The Bosch Micro Edge XL has a revolutionary dual rubber wiping element.
Move to the left a little.
It's the best cleaning, longest lasting blade we've ever made. Bosch Micro Edge XL, the most advanced wiper system ever.
Beautiful. But I think we lost the headlight.
In racing, the engine is everything.
What?
It's the driver. A driver will never see a finish line without a great engine.
The greatest engine will never see a victory lap without a great driver.
At least they agree on Havoline Formula 3 motor oil, the same oil you can buy right off the shelf. And also try Havoline Extended Life Antifreeze.
The engine's the first thing to the finish line.
Not in Indy cars.
Go where you wanna go. Find the road you've never taken.
This is the tire that changed driving forever. The all-season Goodyear Aqua Tread with the advanced deep groove Aqua Channel that sweeps water away for serious traction in the wet, especially in braking. Goodyear Aqua Tread.
Serious freedom. Goodyear, Goodyear.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Texaco Havoline 200 is being brought to you by Havoline Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car. By Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by American Honda, maker of fine quality automobiles, motorcycles, and power equipment. Welcome back to Road America. In the famous carousel turn is Michael Andretti. Here is our race analysis, a 4-mile permanent road course. 50 race laps planned. The pole speed 142.342 miles an hour by Mauricio Gugelmin, a new track record. And that was in Friday, first round qualifying. It was wet on Saturday and nobody improved. The race record for the distance, the lap 126.205 miles per hour by Michael Andretti way back in 1991. And the pit window between 19 and 21 laps, although that is a very much up in the air figure as this track dries, that could change. As Danny Sullivan mentioned earlier, everything is a jump ball on a drying track here at Road America.
At the beginning of this race with these wet conditions, they're going to get tremendous fuel consumption. But as the track dries and they go and they put drier tires on, slick tires on, they go out, their fuel consumption is going to go down. That will help it and make it a more exciting race. But again, it's going to come to strategy. When do you stop? When do you take a chance? We have any full course yellows.
As you see down there under the trees on the back straightaway through Canada Corner and the high-speed kink, still very, very wet as the rooster tails come up. Now we will be using a single file start for safety purposes, and I'm sure the drivers are all in favor of that. Mauricio Gugelmin leads his Pac West teammate Mark Blundell through turn 14. A massive crowd has been here all day long awaiting this moment. The green flag to start the Texaco Havoline 200. Over the brow of the hill they come. The green flag waves. We are underway. On board with Michael Andretti. Dario Franchitti just ahead and already a twitch. Through turn 2, down to turn 3. Sharp right-hander. Zanardi is third, and Walter Salas is off the track, and someone has flipped into the tire wall. I can't tell who that is upside down, but we have a full course caution. It appears to be one of the Penske cars that's up on its roll hoop.
They need to get to this car quickly. The driver is not enjoying being underneath there like that. Here comes the safety crew.
The kart safety team swings into action. Let's take another look. This is turn 3. Salas spins. Paul Tracy collides with him, and the concrete wall helps to turn him over.
That was a very unfortunate. It was nobody's fault there. Walter Salas just spun. Paul Tracy tried to take avoiding action. Safety crew underneath there talking to him.
Roger Penske looking on, still looking for his 100th career victory in the series, but right now his thoughts are with Paul Tracy. The initial report is that Paul Tracy is okay inside the car. Obviously, he can't turn it over by himself, and the kart safety crew will be very careful to make sure that he is stable inside that car before they try to turn it over or extract him.
You might ask why, too. Why aren't they just up there pushing on the tires and turning? See, now, here's Paul Tracy right here. He's going to try to take avoiding action because here's Walter Salas on that part of the track. But Salas's rear tires are still spinning. He moves over there. Paul gets up in the air. Car's still okay, but he goes in sideways into the tire wall, and those tires just get underneath the car, and they just act as a launching ramp.
It goes back to one of our stories about staying on the racetrack because it is very, very slick when you get onto that super saturated grass. The kart safety team is turning the car over. Marty Reed has more.
Yeah, I'm down here in Davis Racing, and they said they have talked with Walter. He said there was contact with Jimmy Vasser, and that's what started him turning around, and he had nowhere to go, and he saw Paul go right up over his front nose. Gary?
With typical Penske efficiency, as soon as they had radio contact that their driver apparently is okay, Penske immediately ran to the crew and said, get the backup car ready, get it ready. They're checking to see with CART if they can put it in. As Tracy now gets out of the car, there is the possibility, since it's the first lap of this race, that they could run the backup car. That's what they're efficiently doing now, getting the backup car out. We'll wait for a ruling from CART officials if, in fact, he could get into that car. Thankfully, he's okay. That's the big news.
All right, thank you, Gary. Walter Salas started 12th, Jimmy Vasser 13th, Allenzer Jr. 14th, and Paul Tracy 15th. So they were all close together on the racetrack down there in 3. There you see Paul Tracy talking with the kart safety team.
Bob, I don't have to tell you how unfortunate that is for Paul Tracy, but if you watch the tape, it's one of the things they teach you, and one of the first things in driver's school when you spin is lock the tires and the car will keep going in that direction. And what happened is Walter, I think, thought he maybe had it under control, let his foot off the brakes, and he rolled forward. Paul Tracy had already committed to the inside, and there was nowhere to go.
I think also, of course, Roger Penske was keen to see if they could get that spare car going. I don't think Paul Tracy's looking too anxious to go back there. He's already got his helmet off. He's going to start the walk back.
And Danny, if we can interrupt, I believe that a red flag would have to fly in this situation for them to be able to go to the backup car. We're trying to get clarification on that, but that's the initial word here. Penske pondering with his troops right now.
Well, if in fact Paul Tracy cannot get back in the car, there is Roger Penske conferring with his team. It would be Paul Tracy's 3rd DNF of the year, his 2nd in a row. And keep in mind, he was the points leader for 7 straight races after winning 3 in a row earlier this year. So the dark clouds remain over Paul Tracy's 1997 season, at least in the second half. We'll take a break and return for more of the Texaco Havoline 200. We're under the yellow.
Hi, my name is Taylor. If your family is growing like my family is, you may need a larger place to live. One with a big backyard and pretty flowers. The friendly people at Rawlings Realty will help you find just the right home for your growing family. Just call 528-6000 and let Rawlings Realty go to work for you. Bye-bye.
For all your real estate needs, see Rawlings Realty.
If you want a quick, hassle-free loan to buy your home, why not come to the Home Loan Specialist? Tri-County Mortgage. But don't take our word for it. Listen to what one of our satisfied customers has to say.
It's a home that they got us. It's a beautiful home. Our children are happy, and Tri-County Mortgage stayed right with us. We called them daily and asked them questions, and they were very patient with us and helped us along.
Your Home Loan Specialist, Tri-County Mortgage.
527-7100.
Hey man, ever wonder if there can really be a very best tennis dude in the universe? ESPN Summer of Love, the Pilot Pen International. Coverage of the finals today at 5:30 on ESPN.
Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We are under the yellow flag with 2 laps complete. There is Paul Tracy headed for the kart safety unit, where he'll get a complete checkup following a massive tumble in turn 1.
Walter Salas there sideways in your screen, keeping his wheel spinning. Paul Tracy trying to go around him, gets hooked right there, sliding right in, touches the barrier. Now watch what the tires do. Up and over. Luckily, these cars are very safe, and the roll bar and the restrictions are very good. He walked away from that incident, but they want to check him out in the kart medical.
Down to Marty Reed.
Yeah, and you can see this is the damage that happened to Walter's car. You can see right where Paul Tracy came up over the nose, and this is the only piece of damage that he had on his car. He is back out on the race course. Bad news, though, for Patrick Carpentier. I saw the engine cover coming off. I'm heading there to check on that. Gary?
Paul Tracy is in the medical center being examined at this time. Because there was no red flag, that eliminated the option of the Penske team even considering the backup car. We want to be able to put that to rest. Had there been a red flag, they could have considered going to a backup car if Tracy was cleared by medical. When he's cleared, we'll try to get a word with him.
Of course, Gary, one other factor with that, with it being a yellow, even if they had allowed him back in, by the time he got back to the pits, got into that car, he probably would have been a couple of laps down, which even on this long track, and that would have really eliminated any shot at the championship.
But without that red flag, Danny, they didn't even have that option. As long as it was yellow, they could not have him go to the other car.
Once again, Mauricio Gugelmin, the pole sitter, brings the field down to the green flag. The 6th race of the year, Gugelmin has led in the 3rd in a row as he seeks his first win. We are back underway. Approaching turn 1, where the accident took place just a couple of laps ago.
Bob, one thing that's happened here, of course, is everybody got a lap under the green before, or at least most of the way around, so they got to feel where the track was really slippery. If they made a mistake before, they won't make it this lap.
Up to top speed on this drying track. Gugelmin headed for Tommy Kendall in 5.
Big Mo has a nice, comfortable lead. It'll give him a chance to kind of seek out his brake markers. They didn't get a reconnaissance lap. Danny said they did get to see it once at speed before the yellow came out. But back in the pack, Greg Moore making some moves as well. Everyone's through here cleanly. A couple guys crossed up. But everyone's everyone looks like they're taking it pretty careful. A couple guys are looking like they're going to be aggressive, but everybody else, I think, just wants to get through this and settle into their pace.
There you see Greg Moore, twice a winner this year, although he has really been through a dry spell of late. No points in his last 4 races. On board with Dario Franchitti, running just behind Alex Zanardi, 3rd and 4th. Down to Gary Gerald with Paul Tracy.
Paul, have you ever been upside down in any kind of a race car, let alone an Indy car before?
No, I mean, I've been racing since I was 7 and never got upside down before, so it's a pretty sad day for the Marlboro crew. The race had only just started, and Walter spun in front of us, and I had to go one way or the other, and the race I chose the wrong way, and just clipped him, and the tire barrier rolled me over. So it's it's pretty disappointing for the championship for us, and we just can't seem to buy any luck right now.
Seems like too many times we've been having to talk to you lately early in a race about this championship that is now disappearing with only the 3 races to go after this. The challenge really is huge now, isn't it?
Well, it really is. I mean, we had a lot of good luck to start the season. We had a lot of things go wrong, places like we were spun in Brazil and still came off and won the race. So we had some good luck, and I guess it's catching up with us now. We're just can't seem to have any good luck right now.
Hey, I'll tell you, good luck that you're okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that I'm seeing, Tommy, is that even at this stage, the 2nd lap into the race, the drivers are trying to find some damper spots on the track to cool their tires off. Now, what's interesting is, from my point of view, you don't want to make a mistake and throw it away, because if the track is going to dry, you've got a much better chance later on.
We should point out that this race is under a 2-hour time limit scheduled for 50 laps. The track is drying. The cars will be getting quicker. Right now, we're at the 1-hour 45 mark remaining in the race. As you see, Greg Moore following Brian Herta. Both of them factors in the race at Mid-Ohio last week. Let me correct myself on Greg Moore. He was 2nd last week at Mid-Ohio. That ended a run of 3 straight races without championship points. Brian Herta is 8th. Moore is 9th. And there you see the gap between them. Patrick Carpenti, as we mentioned earlier, made a long pit stop. Marty Reed has more.
Yeah, and he's going to be here a little while longer. He has no 4th gear, and in fact, he is now climbing out of the car, and that may spell doom for this team. These guys just can't buy a break.
Carpentier, the young French-Canadian, who won the Toyota Atlantic Championship last year, and ironically has struggled not on the ovals, with which he didn't have much experience coming into the season, but on the road courses, where you'd think he would be quite at home. Through the carousel, Herta in black and white, Moore in blue and white.
Of course, you can see right there the track is drying on line. They're getting a groove laid down. These cars go around those big fat tires. They'll draw all that moisture out. They'll stay wet down there in the trees. See those puddles on the left? But up above on the higher parts of the track, as it dries out, they'll all start thinking slicks as soon as they can.
An interesting thing, the Trans Am race, it took 80 miles to dry the track out. These cars, with the ground effects, they pull the moisture up into the air and essentially atomize it, and it takes a while. It dries out much, much quicker. Here we are just a few laps in with no rain, and already you're seeing a dry line in places.
The flags are snapping in the pit lane. That means the breeze is blowing, and that will help dry the track as the race goes on. The order is Gugelmin, Blundell, Franchitti, Zanardi, Andretti, DeFerrin, Pruitt, Herta, Moore, and Boiselle, the top 10. Franchitti moved up from 4th to 3rd ahead of the points leader.
Michael came onto the scene in IndyCars as a winner. I'm very proud of the fact that he's carrying on the Andretti name. I'll never forget the first really competitive pass that he did on me. We banged wheels a little bit, and he was gone. Adios, Dada.
The Andrettis rely on the same Havoline Formula 3 motor oil you can buy right off the shelf.
That's my boy.
And for your cooling system, get Havoline Extended Life Antifreeze.
Go where you wanna go. Leave the boundaries far behind you.
Introducing the all-new Goodyear Eagle F1 with racing-inspired dual aqua channels that performance Goodyear Eagle F1.
Serious freedom. Goodyear, Goodyear.
Your heart pounds. drivers feel. CART Championship Auto Racing Teams. Feel the speed.
Dreaming of a trip to Hawaii? Sun, sand, golf? Just enter ESPN Senior PGA Tour Aloha Hawaii Sweepstakes presented by Pearl Vision. Watch the Senior PGA Tour's St. Luke's Classic, look for ESPN Shot of the Day, and log on to ESPN Sports Zone to enter. You can win a trip for two to the MasterCard Championship in Hawaii, along with other great prizes from Pearl Vision. Enter ESPN Senior PGA Tour Aloha Hawaii Sweepstakes presented by Pearl Vision.
Welcome back to Road America. Under treacherous conditions, the Texaco Havoline 200 goes forward. This battle is for 7th place. Scott Pruitt, Brian Herta ahead of him, Greg Moore behind him. And behind Moore is Pruitt's teammate, Raul Boisel. Through the high-speed kink, as fast as you dare go. Patrick Carpentier has climbed from his car, and Marty Reed is with him.
Yes, and the points leader for Rookie of the Year does not have a smile on his face. You guys just can't seem to buy a break right now.
Yeah, we've been struggling a little bit, and luck doesn't seem to be on our side. I think we had a good car this weekend. We're 3rd and then 12th in the first practice. Then I had a big shunt in the wall, so we had to use the backup all weekend. And now we had a problem with the gearbox we couldn't go. So it's a shame for the Rookie of the Year championship, but Dario's very quick, so maybe he'll make some point today. But he didn't have much of a break too this year, so it's both the same for us.
We'll see you next race.
Thank you.
So the leader in the rookie standings is now out of the race. The number 2 man in the championship points, Paul Tracy, also out of the race. That could hurt both of them. Right now, Carpentier's rival for the Jim Truman Rookie of the Year award, Dario Franchitti, runs 3rd. Through turn 1 and plunging downhill. This is turn 2. And then turn 3, the right-hander. Moore all over Scott Pruitt.
Bob, one of the problems that he has is, of course, the line is drying. If he tries to make a pass and gets out of that drying line and onto the damp conditions, he doesn't have as good a braking grip as he would on the dry line, so it's very tough to pass.
Bobby Rahal just behind Raul Boisel. Steep uphill here. There's Jimmy Vasser coming on. Going around Andre Ribeiro. Vasser still looking for his first win in '97.
He had the kind of classic crisscross there. Andre got underneath Jimmy going into turn 5. Jimmy just let him have it, just crisscrossed right back underneath him and drove right back by him going up to 6.
Good battle going on behind Andre Ribeiro as Parker Johnstone and Christian Fittipaldi dice.
Talking about the offline, you've got a curious situation here at Road America where online braking, until the track is completely dry, it's still better online or offline inside, where on the insides of the corners, even though the preferred line might be a little bit drier. So you will actually be able to see people. Once they figure that out, they'll be able to pass people even though it looks like it's wetter where they're going.
Christian Fittipaldi passed Parker Johnstone to move into 14th place. Right now his sights are on Andre Ribeiro in 13th. Fittipaldi led 15 laps here a year ago, looking very strong before a mechanical breakdown dropped him in the middle part of the race. And right now he's going to try Ribeiro uphill. We apologize for the poor video quality of our onboard cameras. We have a very low sky, and the helicopter that receives the signals from the race cars has to stay at a low altitude. This is the battle for 2nd place. Mark Blundell with a Dayglow orange nose on his Motorola-sponsored Reynard, and Dario Franchitti having another great drive for Carl Hogan.
Bob, I might point out, too, that Big Mo Gugelman, who's the leader of the race, is not very far in front of this duo. You can see him right there at the top of your screen. That's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Danny, just talked with Mo Gugelman's team here. He has radioed in that the track is definitely drying, but it is his call, and since he's the leader, I think everybody will be following him, but he will make the decision as to when to come in to go to slicks.
Plunging downhill through the part of the racetrack known as the Hurry Downs. Look at all that mud in the outside of that corner. They have to be very careful there, and it's definitely closing up. Franchitti just behind Blundell, and Gugelman is being drawn in a bit as well. Franchitti looks a little tentative on the throttle there in the carousel.
But look at him close. He picked it up early. He's going to try to go inside the kink. Thinks better of it. That's a very fast place, and you're not on the brakes there. What he's letting Mark Blundell know is, hey, I'm back here, and I'm trying to find a way around you. That place is not safe.
And look at the gap behind Dario Franchitti. Nobody in sight as they turn right at Canada Corner. Turn number 12.
That's Michael Andretti.
Alex
Zanardi right behind him. Sorry, Tom.
Michael has gotten around Alex. When they came through turn 5, Michael had started to close up, and these are the exact conditions where the Goodyears started taking back some of the edge that they did not have in the heavy rain at Portland. So it would be interesting to follow that. The front guys that have checked out are all on Firestones. But with Michael moving up as it's drying out, maybe we'll see the same situation.
The gap from 3rd to 4th, 5.6 seconds.
Now you wonder why everybody's diving around like that. For everybody at home, they're trying to find the damp spots to cool the tires. Run them through some water, they cool the tires down so that you can keep the grip in the corners, because those dry patches will really overheat and use up a wet tire.
See the flicker of vortexes at the top edges at either end of the rear wings as the moisture condenses in the air. Part of the complex aerodynamic treatment of these race cars. Greg Moore between the two Brahma-sponsored Patrick Racing teammates, Scott Pruitt in 8th and Raul Boesel in 10th. Working lap number 9. Each lap 4 miles long. And that sheer length of this racetrack plays a role in race strategy. Rushing downhill now to turn 5. Battle cools for the moment as the elevator goes up to turn number 6. Mauricio Gugelmin out front, followed by his Pac West teammate Mark Blundell. We'll be back.
And the Budweiser IndyCar. Hot enough for you? In 1996, Ford tore up the tracks of NASCAR. Wrapped up 2 Trans Am championships. Took one off-road title after another. And this Ford IndyCar won more races than any other IndyCar. That kind of winning technology makes its way into the Ford you can drive. In other words, when we win, we make a big production out of it.
For every lap we lead this year, we're donating $25 to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
For every pole position we win, we're donating $1,000.
And $5,000 for every victory. Man, this could get expensive.
Back at Road America, heading toward the start-finish line, running side by side the Pac West teammates as Mark Blundell moves past Mauricio Gugelmin to take the lead. Headed towards 1, here comes Gugelmin. Keep in mind, this is the Pac West team that for the last 2 years consecutively has seen both of their cars go out of this race in collisions with each other.
Also, the 3 cars that we're looking at right now are all the same package. They are all Reynards. They are all on Firestones, and they're all powered by Mercedes. So we're seeing a pretty equal group of cars right now.
How quickly things change. A lap ago, Mark Blundell had his hands full with Dario Franchitti. It's like he hit the afterburner. Next thing you know, he's pulled away from Franchitti and taken the lead in the space of about a half a lap.
That's the voice of Tom Kendall joining us this weekend here at Road America, having won his 10th straight SCCA Trans Am race yesterday. Flames from the exhaust of Mark Blundell's Mercedes-Benz.
I can also tell you where there's some frustration. Forget Franchitti for a second. For Big Mo, here he is on the pole and he's been with this team for a couple of years, and his new teammate has won 2 races this year, and now his teammate has passed him and is in the lead. That's very frustrating because his car is clearly not handling quite as well as Mark's.
That's the view from our Honda Helicam, piloted by Craig Ralston, who's been up there a long time today as we tried to get this race underway. Working lap number 10 of 50, up against the 2-hour time limit. The clock now down to 1 hour 33 and a half minutes remaining.
To give you an idea, the track looks pretty good, but these cars are running almost 30 seconds slower than they qualified. So it's still going to be a while. I think this track, for whatever reason, holds a lot of water, and it's going to be a little while before they come in.
On board now with Franchitti. Just ahead is Gugelmin as they turn through turn 14, past the pit entrance, and climb 110 feet to the start-finish line. Still seems to be lots of moisture there on the front straightaway. Blundell leading for only the 4th time this year, but he won 2 of the previous 3 races he has led before today.
Bob, the real wet-dry situation is very complicated because this is a 4-mile track. We're now on the upper level of it, but as they work down after we've seen them at Tom Kendall's position, they go down that hill and go into the carousel and the kink. They get down there in the trees and everything, and the track stays wet. So although they might have a good dry spot up at the top, there's still too many wet spots out there for them to jump over the slicks at this stage.
Climbing to turn 6, the left-hander. A huge crowd on hand here today at Road America, despite the fact that it rained heavily for more than 6 hours before this race began. Now into Hurry Downs and down to that very, very muddy turn number 8. Into the carousel. A long, long right-hander. You see the cars way over on the outside of the turn. Now Franchitti darts to the inside to try to take advantage as Gugelmin comes off the corner and cannot stop Franchitti's move into 2nd place. Past the lap car of Charlie Neerberg in his 2nd start. Another challenging race for the series rookie here on a very, very fast track in very wet conditions. There's Michael Andretti in the 4th spot.
Michael, who said earlier today, well, I think I'll just take it kind of easy out there and score the points. This doesn't look like a guy that's taking it easy. He's hanging in, trying to reel in those 3 Firestone runners, him being, of course, on Goodyear tires.
Watch the at the line graphic at the upper left as we measure the interval from race leader Mark Blundell back to those who follow. Michael Andretti a little over 8 seconds behind the leader. Alex Zanardi 10.8 seconds. Gilles de Ferran almost 20 seconds back. Michael's last lap was only 0.2 of a second slower than the race leader. There's Franchitti headed for turn 5. Marty Reed has more on him.
Yeah, one of the things we checked with the team and said, as this dries out, is the car going to get better or worse? And they said, we think it'll get better because we went with a compromised setup and sort of leaned towards the dry track. And I'm wondering just how many other cars. I bet you Michael Andretti, if we go down and check with them, I bet you they're probably on a dry setup as well. What do you think, Danny?
Marty, of course, if you have a really well-balanced car, they don't change very much from the wet to the dry. If somebody's got a car that's not handling very well, they might have thrown on a softer setup to get the grip in the wet. But everybody saw those skies were clearing and that the track was drying. I think they stayed pretty much with what they qualified.
Franchitti through the carousel. Now we have slick tires on the wall. That's Mauricio Gugelmin's pit in the Hollywood, Reynard. So it looks as though the Brazilian, who started from pole for this race, will switch to the potentially quicker slicks when he comes in. Recall at Portland, where it was a lap-to-lap decision as to when to put on the slicks.
And what we also saw at Portland was some of the drivers made the decision a little bit early and paid the price, spinning off on the track. Paul Tracy, Big Mo, they didn't have any damage, but it cost them a little bit of time and ultimately the win.
This man and his crew made the decision perfectly. Mark Blundell got onto the slick tires and was able to run down Gilles de Ferran to win the closest three-way finish in series history. We'll be back to Road America.
Ready for some rugged fun this summer? How about a Chevy S10? You can get 2.9 APR financing or cash back on a Chevy S10 during the Chevy Big Value Big Savings event. S10 is the only compact pickup to offer a third door, making getting in and out of the rugged outdoors so much easier. There's great offers on other outstanding cars and trucks, too. There'll never be a better time to get a 97 Chevy than during the Chevy Big Value Big Savings event.
Get 2.9 financing now at your local Chevrolet dealer.
Why not come to the home loan specialist, Tri-County Mortgage? But don't take our word for it. Listen to what one of our satisfied customers has to say.
I really didn't think, because we didn't have a large down payment, that we could buy a home. And a realty company in Bell County suggested we could speak to Beverly at Tri-County Mortgage. And as soon as we called her, she picked up the ball and started running with it. And within a month, we bought a home.
Home loan specialist, Tri-County Mortgage.
It's not that great. I mean, a 24-hour sports news network. Yeah, sure. Scores, highlights, breaking news. Who cares? Big deal. People act like this is a second coming or something. People say, are you going to be on ESPN News? Nope. No way. Apparently, I don't fit into their little schedule. I need a new agent.
Back at Road America, Michael Andretti pits from 5th place. The first of the front-running cars to make his pit stop, and it looks like slick tires are going on for Andretti.
Michael must not like the way his car is handling on wets. He lost a lot of ground to Zanardi and actually lost a spot to Zanardi before he made the stop. This is pretty early on, so maybe he's not happy with those good years.
Down comes the visor, foot down hard, back out into the race. Now here's Michael Andretti moments ago battling with Alex Zanardi over 4th. Whoa! There is Michael back out on slicks.
Of course, one of the most important factors on the slicks on a damp track is getting them up to temperature so that they do have some grip when they hit those damp spots.
Exactly, Danny. That was the big thing. In our races, we don't have any pit stops and change tires, so I don't usually go at speed on cold tires. It feels like you have 4 loose wheels when you go out on cold slicks. The sidewalls aren't up to temp, and it's really, really hard on a wet track to get them that way. Until you do, it's a double-edged sword.
And word from the officials is that Michael Andretti was too quick entering the pits. He'll be assessed a black flag and a drive-through penalty for hitting 71 miles an hour on 5th in the championship coming into this weekend, 40 points behind series leader Alex Zanardi, and now he has old rival Al Unser Jr. just behind. Recall a year ago when Al Unser Jr. was leading the race on the last lap, and just a couple of corners from the checkered flag, his engine let go, allowing Michael through. The only lap Michael led on the day was the one that took him to the checkered flag.
And you can see in that shot just previously how much he pulled out through the carousel just on slick tires on that dry line. Look here, though. It's too damp down there. Uh-oh, he's in the gravel pit. They said if you go in the gravel pit, your day is done.
Danny, this is a flashback. Remember Brian Herta and Paul Tracy? They went out on the slicks at Portland, and they also went off track. And the same thing happens to Michael here. And in fact, everybody from Mo Gugelman's team was nodding, saying it's too soon, and now they know they were right.
Well, Marty, as we said, up at the top, it's pretty dry, but you get down there at the bottom part of the track, the lower part in the elevation underneath those trees, and I'm sorry, but it's just still too damp.
Corner workers out there to put the belt on. Now, the drivers were told before the race that if you get into the sand trap, your car will be lifted out of the way and your race is over. And now the double yellow flags wave from the flag stand. It's going to be a full course caution. Down into Canada corner he came, and the car immediately under braking locked up and spun off.
And of course, you can see, look how shiny the tires are. Right on top, how shiny they are. They are damp. When they get that wet, there's nothing you can do. Look at them. Look how shiny the tires are on the top of the tire. They're just too slick.
Gary Gerald is standing by with Michael's crew chief.
Lee White just went back up on the wall. He was watching with great interest the replay, and now I believe he's in conversation with his driver. He waves us off for the moment. We won't be able to get a word with him, but we're wondering about if his feelings, if they just made the gamble, excuse me, too soon. You see that Michael is being lifted now by the Gale crane, and our leaders are taking advantage of the full course yellow and making an appearance on pit road.
The problem for officials is this track is so long, they don't want to spend 4-mile stretches behind the safety car if they can avoid it. Mark Blundell is in. Marty Reed.
Mark Blundell, the first one in, and he's going to the race slicks. And if we pan right around, you'll be able to see that Dario Franchitti is also in, and he is going to race slicks as well. Everybody topping off on fuel. And also we're seeing one of the target cars come down. Mo Gulgeman has now made it into pit lane and will come back the other direction. We've got all three guys in and everybody going out on slicks.
Well, they all saw what happened to Michael Andretti. What we may be about to see is a car control battle down there on the backside where the trees hang over the racetrack, and it is still very wet.
The problem is, oh, look at Dario. Oh, he has ruined his day and those points for the rookie. I thought he was very aggressive going out of the pits. He actually looked like he was going to pass Mark Blundell down the inside going into turn one, which you can't do. You're under a yellow situation. I think he was trying to get his tires up to temperature.
Off comes the steering wheel and out climbs the young Scottish-Italian driver. Here's another look from outside, down in turn one.
See, he just tried to get on the gas too early with, first of all, you've got cold tires. Second of all, you've got a slick track. And you go out there, it takes a couple laps to get him up to temperature, and he just tried a little too hard too soon.
There's Carl Hogan, his car owner. Once again, a great qualifying performance has come to naught for this team. There's the other early casualty of the slick conditions. Michael Andretti's race is over. The defending champion is gone. The skies remain absolutely socked over with clouds. We'll take a break and return. We're under caution here at Road America as the Texaco Havoline 200 continues.
Go where you wanna go. Leave the boundaries far behind you.
Introducing the all-new Goodyear Eagle F1 with racing-inspired dual aqua channels that sweep water away for.
Without a great driver.
At least they agree on Havoline Formula 3 motor oil, the same oil you can buy right off the shelf. And also try Havoline Extended Life Antifreeze.
The engine's the first thing with the finish line.
Not in Indy cars.
This is where Roger Staubach got his start. This is where Jimi Hendrix got his. Chances are you weren't there. But you can be here at the Toyota Atlantic Championship, where Indy 500 victors like Bobby Rahal and Kart Series winners like Michael Andretti began their race to the top. That's why it's called the Cradle of Champions. One thing about this cradle, it really rocks.
Saturday, ESPN's ride-along program speeds into Bristol. Jeff Gordon's racked up 3 wins on this track and a fistful this season, but the points race is still tight. Come along for the ride. Goody's Headache Powders 500, Saturday at 7:30 on ESPN.
Coming up Monday is on ESPN, NFL Prime Monday, to cover the weekend of the NFL and get you set up for the Monday night game. Check it out, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. On ABC Sports, Monday Night Football this week, the Jacksonville Jaguars visit the San Francisco 49ers from Frisco, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. The patches of light pavement during hurry downs tell you that the track is drying. The entire field is now on slicks with the exception of the race leader.
And look at Dario Franchitti. Now watch what he does. He's going to stay over here on the kind of on the damp, right there on the damp, tries to get on the throttle, loses control, goes over and smacks the wall. Now earlier I saw him trying, right when he came out of the pits, he looked like he was going to go up the inside of Blundell, like he was going to make a pass. And I've got to believe that he didn't think it was yellow, that he thought he was going to, you know, have a chance to get by him. Tommy?
There's no other explanation. I mean, it's really too bad. I've been pulling for Dario. I met him at Helsinki in 1995 at the ITC race and find myself pulling for him a lot, but there's no two ways to slice that. That is a huge mental mistake because the pace car is out. He couldn't improve his position.
Tommy, I agree with you. He's a great guy and obviously a very quick driver, and they've come so close so many times that we'd like to see a good result, and he looked like he had one going for him today.
His old ITC mate with Mercedes, the former series champion Bernd Schneider, is here this weekend to watch Dario in action. Now here's Brian Herta's pit window along with Mark Blundell and Alex Zanardi, the two cars following him. Herta did not stop. He is still on wet weather tires. The yellow slashes are the laps that were run under caution. You see, we are currently under caution for all three drivers. And Andre Ribeiro passed Raul Boisel. Jimmy Vasser passed Alonso Jr. and Michel Jourdain during the pit stops as well. The green flag waves on lap 19. We are back underway. A gamble on tires now for Brian Herta, the only driver on the treaded wet weather rubber. Behind him, Mark Blundell, Alex Zanardi, Mauricio Gugelmin, Gilles de Ferran, Greg Moore, Scott Pruitt, Andre Ribeiro, Raul Boisel, and Christian Fittipaldi. Bobby Rahal is 11th, Jimmy Vasser 12th, Parker Johnstone 13th, Alonso Jr. 14th, Michel Jourdain Jr. 15th, Adrian Fernandez 16th, P.J. Jones up into 17th, followed by Max Pappas, Richie Hearn, Juan Fangio, and Hiro Matsushita.
On these slick tires, of course, they can take, it's very tricky to pass off that line because that's the damper part. You want to pass, but if you step out of that dry line, it's very tricky.
Watching the cars slewing around on the wet part of the track using those slick tires.
Bob, this is playing perfectly into the strategy of the Brian Herta camp right now. We checked with them just before they went green. I said, how much of a gamble? They said, well, what we want to do is we just want to watch and see how much the other guys slip and slide. We're hoping that we'll be able to stretch the fuel mileage here under yellow. We know that we don't have a whole lot of time remaining, but other guys are, in fact, slipping and sliding.
Looks like Adrian Fernandez is off. Walter Salas is slow on the racetrack. Looks like he's waving for a push. He may have stalled the car. Well, he's had a dramatic race so far. He was a part of that turn 1 crash that took Paul Tracy out of the race.
They don't have to push him very far because it goes downhill just past this. If they can get him going, there are a little bump starting, away he goes.
Herta is going to come in as they go yellow. This is good news for them. They'll make the change now under the luxury of the yellow. They'll lose track position, but not nearly what they'd lost if that had been under green.
Well, he would have had to stop soon anyway as he approached his fuel window, and with a 4-mile race lap, you don't want to get it wrong.
Everything looking routine. Flips the throttle mildly a couple of times. Everybody has got to be so careful because pit road is still much more wet than the front straightaway. This could be critical right here. Just under 17 seconds, not particularly fast.
Gary, I also saw him make a wing adjustment on the front. I couldn't tell which way they went, but they were making some adjustment on that front wing.
Brian Herta back out as one of the Gurney cars pits under this caution. Working lap number 20. You see how the car twitches around on slick tires on this still damp circuit. We'll be back with more from Road America.
First, it won a U.S. patent. Then the incredible Splitfire swiftly ignited the passions of drivers around the world. Now you can get guaranteed Splitfire performance for just $3.99. Hurry, it's the biggest savings ever.
Introducing the 1997 Miller Lite stock car. Sure beats other sedans. is the new Miller Lite Indy car. No radio, no heat, but hey, look at that handling. And if it's acceleration you're after, take a look at the Miller Lite Top Fuel Dragster. It leaves everything else at the light. Every Miller Lite car comes with our 16-second roadside assistance plan. We say, shoot, shop, and compare.
Dear Dave, we were coming home from the track the other day and saw Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger was back, so I bought a bunch of them for the boys. Man, was it delicious. 3 strips of hickory smoked bacon, smoked cheddar, savory sauce, and sauteed onions. And they made them fresh when I ordered them, so they were hot and juicy. Stop by sometime and I'll show you the new car. Your buddy, Dale Jarrett.
Dear Dale, that'd be great. I'd love to take it for a spin.
He's kidding, right?
Come into Wendy's and try our Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger today.
Splitfire spark plugs are performance.
With Splitfire, it's money-back guaranteed performance. And guaranteed performance has made Splitfire a winner around the world. Now we're ready for you with the biggest savings ever. Hurry, this pricing ends soon.
Welcome back to Road America. Bob Varsha and Danny Sullivan with you. Marty Reed and Gary Gerald in the pit lane. Tommy Kendall down in turn 5, looking at race leader Mark Blundell as he comes around to lead the field up to the green flag. Off comes the safety car. Of 28 starters, 24 cars remain in the running. Blundell comes up the rise, and behind him, Mauricio Gugelmin is slow, losing traction on the wet part of the racetrack. It looks like Alex Zanardi has gone. This is turn 1. Daring move by Andre Ribeiro.
That was wild, but I had the impression that actually
contact Juan Fangio on the right and Hiro Matsushita on the left. Meanwhile, picking up the action from overhead.
I had the impression that Zanardi actually was slow. I saw Mark Blundell just go out of the screen, and it was like Zanardi was caught asleep and misjudged the start.
Well, Zanardi's awake now because he is all over the leader.
The traffic down there between 4 and 5. And we have another full course caution. No doubt for that contact between Fangio and Matsushita. So things are a little chaotic, and boy, that was obviously more than a little contact.
Everybody, under these conditions, you can't get your tires up to temperature or an optimum operating temperature that quickly. So everybody's sliding around, slipping and sliding, and throwing some races away too.
P.J. Jones take the opportunity for another pit stop. That's the 3rd stop for Jones, who remains the only unlapped car on the lead lap, or the last of the unlapped cars, I should say. I'm sure P.J. would love to be in that position of being the only unlapped car. And he's going slowly. Back under caution here at Road America. Stay with us.
Catch and release fishing. It's doing it right, then catching them again and again. Support the Budweiser Catch and Release program. To good times and the great outdoors, this Bud's for you.
What tough is? It's the available new Ford Triton 5.4-liter V8. What tough does. What tough is? It's the wide open spaces of the world's only standard 3rd door. What tough does. F-150, Motor Trend Truck of the Year, built Ford Tough.
Firestone has developed a tire technology so advanced they use it on Indy cars in the worst possible condition, the rain. And if it can handle 172 miles per hour wet, 55 is a piece of cake. Introducing the Firehawk SC50, made possible by unique technology and by a tread patterned after our Indy rain tire, the Firehawk SC50. For the road.
Jones Tire since 1900. Back at Road America, there is P.J. Jones. Let's get it all straight. It was Jones and not Fangio who collided with Hiro Matsushita, bringing out the full course caution that is about to come to a conclusion. He's made a couple of pit stops to have a bent tie rod replaced. And now he has fallen one lap down. And we saw him go by the safety car, but he came back into the pits for work. It appears he will not be penalized, which at this point would be adding insult to injury since he has gone a lap down. There's Mark Blundell, the race leader. Alex Zanardi, Mauricio Gugelmin follows, then Gilles de Ferran, Scott Pruitt, and Christian Fittipaldi, who started 18th and currently runs 6th. On the backside, skies are growing darker once again. It appears to be a fairly dry line developing. Tommy Kendall, how's it over by you?
The skies look okay, but the clouds are really moving. So depending on if the wind shifts, it looks pretty good the direction it's coming from. But if the wind were to shift, there's dark stuff all around.
We've had 4 cautions for a total of 12 laps thus far. The record for most cautions is 6. The record for most laps, 16. So we're getting close. Green flag waves. We are back underway on Already immediately on Mark Blundell, headed for 1.
See, he just dove up. He got on that slick part on the inside. He just lost a little ground. It was just a little too slick. Mark had the better line. I'm sure Alex will be on his way back up there on that dry track there.
Mauricio Gugelmin runs in 3rd and closing on Alex Zanardi. Brian Herta, before we went green, made a pit stop to top off the tanks. He should be able to run the rest of the way.
Saw those sparks coming out from underneath Alex Zanardi's car at the front, where he was bottoming under braking, taking it in there very deep.
There is Christian Fittipaldi. You ride with him. Just ahead is Scott Pruitt.
Sorry to break in, guys. We have Parker Johnstone and Jimmy Vasser. It looks like Parker ran over Vasser. It looks like he's heading through the escape area into the... He is down the escape road.
Now the drivers are allowed to take that shortcut if they need to head for the pits, but they have to wait until they're allowed through. As you watch Charlie Nearberg from Texas enjoying his 2nd start in the series. He had hoped to start at Mid-Ohio a week ago, but the car broke on the starting grid and he never got to take the green flag. There's Parker Johnstone. Now he can make a turn. He'll have to go to the pits and he will lose a lap.
With that steering wheel coming out, looks like he thinks his race is done. He's pulled the steering wheel out of the car. He's unbuckling. He's got a bigger problem than just worrying about getting back up the pit road.
Up the hill from Canada Corner they come. Fittipaldi still all over Scott Pruitt. Turn 14, headed to the start-finish line. Barsha, Danny Sullivan, Gary Gerald, Tommy Kendall, and Marty Reed with you for round 14 of the PPG Kart World Series, the Texaco Havoline 200. Cars still closely bunched, headed down into 1. Bobby Rahal took a look down inside. Greg Moro, Andre Ribeiro, and Raul Boesel.
Boesel got up on the inside of the track there and looked like he locked it up in the wet and just lost it. Andre Ribeiro, minding his own business, was just taken out in the incident.
And once again, the yellow flags fly. Ribeiro on the left, Boesel on the right. 2 more cars out of the race.
See in the back of your screen right there is Boesel on the inside, the damper part of the track. Here's Ribeiro right there. Boesel under braking, loses it. Ribeiro does not see him trying to go through the corner. Wham! Hits him from the side. Unfortunately, those boys' day is done.
Andre Ribeiro, completely innocent bystander in that situation. There's Boesel.
Now you can bet that this conversation between the two of them will not be in English.
That's one of those situations where Andre is probably livid, not knowing exactly what happens. He probably thought that Raul was up underneath him just to get a stop and kind of punched him in the side. But, well, he doesn't look too animated, so maybe he does know what went down.
Well, it looks like it's a friendly conversation in Portuguese between the two Brazilians. For Raul Boesel, his 3rd DNF of the year. For Andre Ribeiro, his 5th. We have our 5th full course caution of the day as race leader Mark Blundell brings them up the hill.
This has got to be so frustrating from a driver, Tommy, don't you think? You just start to get going, you're back in the, 3, 4, 5 corners, full course yellow. You can't get your momentum, your rhythm. You can't get into the groove.
Yeah, it drives you nuts. I'm sure Zanardi has looked like he has something for Blundell. And just when you get going, obviously it stopped. I'm not sure what you can do about it, but these on a 4-mile course like this, it really has an adverse effect on the show. But in F1, where they can reach in with those cranes and pull those cars out, all these cars aren't really in dangerous positions, but you don't want to leave them in case another car comes piling in.
Especially under these conditions too, Tommy.
Gary Gerald is standing by in the pit lane with Michael Andretti.
Well, I know that Michael Andretti, that this is tough to talk about, but I got to ask you, was it the right decision to, and I believe it was your call, to make the change to the slicks, and you were kind of the guinea pig?
Yeah, I still stick by my decision. It was definitely the right decision. I mean, when I came out of the pits, I was in front of Al Jr., and he was all over me until we got to the carousel, and I pulled him about 3 or 4 seconds.
About it, but these on a 4-mile course like this, it really has an adverse effect on the show. But in F1, where they can reach in with those cranes and pull those cars out, all these cars aren't really in dangerous positions, but you don't want to leave them in case another car comes piling in.
Michael Andretti becomes the 2nd of the 10 drivers still in the championship hunt to drop out of the race. As you see, Andre Ribeiro beginning the long walk back. Paul Tracy. Stay with us.
For a loan, think first. First National Bank and Trust.
Carrying plenty of speed to it. That's a beautiful move.
Beautiful move indeed from the points leader. Not racing conservatively on this weekend with a 27-point lead over Paul Tracy, who's already out of the race. There's Max Pappas in the MCI Reynard.
I think Max got together with Walter Salas, so you can see him. Here it comes.
Whoa, I would say so.
Walter's been having a pretty wild day today. We've seen him involved in 2 or 3 incidences, but he's obviously trying and feeling very, very aggressive.
His luck, he should have taken a cue from his card game.
That's right, where he was losing. If you weren't with us, we stopped in Walter Salas playing with his crew. They said if he lost the hand, he was done for the day. The race car, it's been pretty interesting. That's his 3rd incident unofficially. Turn number 14, DeFerrin and Christian Fittipaldi, who is now up into the 5th spot.
Christian's been moving steadily through the field in all the conditions. He's having a great race.
He loves this racetrack. He led this race for 15 laps a year ago before the car let him down.
Bob, we have a radio report that Christian Fittipaldi may be experiencing some problems with the ECU, one of the management systems on board. But he looks very racy as he challenges and runs behind DeFerrin right now.
In fact, Christian Fittipaldi has driven very well since his comeback from the broken leg he suffered at the beginning of April in Australia.
You saw him just hold his hand up like that. That's just a sign of frustration, like something in that ECU was cutting out if he's having an electrical problem. But he's all over Gilles DeFerrin. He's right there, poised for an attack. He's just got to keep going. There's not much he can do about the electrical situation.
While the battle unfolds, Marty Reed has Parker Johnstone.
Yeah, we're down here with Parker. It's nice to see you're over.
Marty, we had problems on Friday to begin with, but I'm real proud of this team, Cole Crean. They got the car working real well yesterday morning. We couldn't improve our qualifying because of the rain yesterday. We struggled a little bit in the beginning of the race, but as the track dried out, our car just got better and better. As we went down into turn number 5, everybody got log jammed on the inside. Jimmy made his one move, as we talked about in the drivers' meeting yesterday, to the middle, past Ray Hall. I went by Junior and Ray Hall and was on the outside of Jimmy, and as we got down into the corner, he moved to the far outside. I was looking at concrete or grass or the back of his car and decided to keep it off the wall and unfortunately bent the front of the car. Real disappointment for our team, but we're looking forward to Vancouver in 2 weeks.
All right, we'll see you there.
Vancouver will be very close to being a home race for Parker Johnstone and Team Cool Green. Parker hails from Brush Prairie, Washington. Here comes race leader Mark Blundell, looking for his 3rd of the year and a chance to get a leg up on the guy following him, Alex Zanardi, for the championship.
And Zanardi is flying. The lap before this, he took a full second off Blundell. On this lap, he took another half second. So he here through turn 5, he's noticeably the quickest car and really taking it to Blundell.
And he doesn't lose the gap when they accelerate out of the corner.
That's the view from our Honda Helicam. 2 drivers raised in the cut and thrust world of Formula One. Mark Blundell picked up the first points for Mercedes-Benz in their high-profile marriage with McLaren. There's Zanardi's lap 30 mile-an-hour average. Second, in fact, a half a mile an hour faster than Mark Blundell, fastest of the group, making up the top 4 right now. With a carousel. See the drivers hugging the curb on the driver's right of the carousel now. That's where the fast line is.
Bob, what they're really hugging is the dry line. They want to stay wherever it's dry. That's where the grip. Zanardi's right up behind him. It's going to be tricky going underneath there. It's still very damp on the inside, particularly at that corner.
These 2 lapping now 19 miles an hour faster on average than the fastest lap they could cut on the treaded wet weather tires. So slicks are the order of the day as we come around to complete lap 31. 19 laps remaining, 37.5 minutes roughly on our unofficial 2-hour time clock. And the best battle on the racetrack is right up front. Blundell with 2 victories this year and Zanardi with 4. We'll take a break and return for more of the Texaco Havoline 200 with 4.
Got him?
Yeah, if I could only see.
I've got the perfect thing.
The Bosch Micro Edge XL has a revolutionary dual rubber wiping element.
Move to the left a little.
It's the best cleaning, longest lasting blade we've ever made. Bosch Micro Edge XL, the most advanced wiper system ever.
Beautiful. But I think we lost the headlight.
Welcome, Buddy Lazier.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy Vassar.
How can I help you?
At Firestone, we take our competitive tradition seriously. Take our sale on FR360 steel-belted radials. Now competitively priced at $4 for $99. With a 45,000-mile limited warranty. But this sale won't last long. So hurry into Firestone.
Saturday, ESPN's ride-along program speeds into Bristol. Jeff Gordon's racked up 3 wins on this track and a fistful this season, but the points race is still tight. Come along for the ride. Goodies Headache Powders 500, Saturday at 7:30 on ESPN.
Well, there haven't been many mistakes from Alex Zanardi this year. He told me earlier this weekend he is a much different driver than he was, trying to bring the reluctant Lotus along in Formula One that led to his huge crash, breaking his leg at Spa in Belgium back in the early 1990s. He said, back then, I had to prove to everyone that even though I had a slower car, that I could be the fastest. Now I don't do it that way.
And we expect him in the pits in 2 or 2.5 laps. They're out there at the carousel at this time, and we think we'll see a wind change up front as they'll impact the handling on the car. Danny, they're talking about going up a turn on the front wing.
With more downforce, he wants a little bit more grip at the front of the car.
Behind this battle, Mauricio Gugelmin is third, followed by Gilles de Ferran. There you see the points in the upper left. As of this moment, Alex Zanardi would lead Gilles de Ferran, who would move past Paul Tracy into second if the points were to be awarded right now. Greg Moore would stand fourth the way he came into the weekend. There's Mauricio Gugelmin. Here comes Gilles de Ferran. Then Christian Fittipaldi. Scott Pruitt, Bobby Rahal, Greg Moore, Al Unser Jr. in 9th place. Ryan Herta is 10th, and Richie Hearn is 11th, having come from the 24th starting position. A great run for John Della Pena's young driver and the Ralph's Food for Less Lola team. Sky's lightning once again. The track continues to dry out. Checking the average lap speed for lap number 33, Mark Blundell noticeably quicker than Alex Zanardi. Bobby Rahal and Greg Moore doing battle.
Bob, my question to you is going to be, when they come with this run of pit stops, what's going to happen to Brian Herta, who is not only went a little bit longer and refueled, he also topped off because he was at the back of the pack and did sort of an Alex Zanardi at Cleveland. He's got a full tank of fuel back there. Can he move up the spot, possibly get in the top 3?
After again, when you're in the gravel, you are out of the race. Al Unser Jr. takes advantage of the opportunity for a pit stop.
And this is not the spot to do it. It's the wettest part of the track. He goes down there on the inside of the track. He gets his tires all wet from that little puddle down there, and he has no grip.
And so the number 4 man in the PPG Cup Championship coming into the weekend is now out of the race, joining Paul Tracy, Michael Andretti, and Raul Boy.
We make changes day and night to increase performance. And after winning the PPG Cup Championship, racing tradition dictates we make one more. Which suits us just fine, because as you can see, at Honda, we never stop improving.
A storm rolling in, and Mom's not due for another hour.
Hey, what about me?
A pretty tight spot, unless you have MCI.
Starting to rain.
The kids dial one special number, and that one call goes to Mom's office, then to her cell phone, then right to her.
Get in, I'm so glad you called.
And Mom rolls in right before the storm.
Let me in the phone booth, Mom. There's no room. Look.
Firestone has developed a tire technology so advanced they use it on Indy cars in the worst possible condition, the race. And if it can handle 172 miles per hour wet, 55 is a piece of cake. Introducing the Firehawk SC50, made possible by Unity, our ultimate tire technology, and by a tread patterned after our Indy rain tire, the Firehawk SC50.
Welcome back to Road America, where the PPG Kart World Series Texaco Havoline 200 will have 14 laps remaining. The next time new race leader Alex Zanardi by what has been an amazing race on a constantly drying track. Zanardi, the series points leader coming into this weekend, is now leading the race. Second in points coming in Paul Tracy, behind Zanardi by 27 points, went out of the race after a collision with Walter Salles, the Brazilian rookie, at turn number 1 of the very first lap. Also out of the race, Greg Moore, 4th in points coming in, Michael Andretti, who was 5th, and Raul Boisel, who was 9th of the 10 drivers still in the running for the championship coming into the weekend. So the standings are going to take a shuffling as a result of this weekend. There's Mark after a quick 13-second stop in the Pac West pits. He gets to the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, but ahead of him, Alex Zanardi's team beat that time by 2 seconds, and the Italian was able to get back on the racetrack in the lead, having come in 2nd place. Let's check on our stories now. The weather, it has stayed dry. The track is drying. Everybody has been on slicks for quite a while. Staying on track has been critical. All of the top points earners in the championship that I just mentioned have gone out of this race for having slipped off the racetrack, with the exception of Paul Tracy, who crashed. All the rest simply slipped into gravel traps, and those drivers out of the race. And As a result, the championship is changing all the time, with one exception: the fact that Alex Zanardi has both the points lead and the race lead as we go green. And somehow Arndt Meyer has gotten over the Armco, and that could have been incredibly dangerous. He's down in turn 14.
So is Al Unser.
Ryan
and
Hurd
Richie
falling back. I'm Bob Varsha along with Danny Sullivan. Tommy Kendall joins us for today's race. He'll be up in a moment. Let's take another look at what happened to Arndt Meyer down in turn 14 just as he turned for the green flag.
He got off there a little wide. He's out in the grass just sliding. Whoa, and look at that. Cleared the first barrier.
Oh my. There is Arndt Meyer, the young German. Shades of what happened a few years ago when Paul Tracy in qualifying nearly got into a spectator area.
Well, he's fast there, and look at that barrier, just lays back. Luckily, he goes right over it, and no damage to anybody else.
But a wooden storm fence between that flying car and a spectator area. That was scary. Meanwhile, back to the action. It's Alex Zanardi now drawing away from Mark Blundell after a spectacular exchange of pit stops. Mauricio Gugelmin runs third, Gilles de Fer in fourth, Christian Fittipaldi in fifth, Scott Pruitt sixth, Brian Hurd is seventh, Bobby Rahal, his teammate, is eighth, Al Unser Jr. is ninth, Richie Hearn is 10th, followed by Jimmy Vasser, Adrian Fernandez, Juan Fangio, and Walter Salas.
I guess the good news about where Arndt Meyer's car ended up is we won't have to go full course yellow to get it behind the barrier. He's already there.
Turning through turn 3, there is Al Unser Jr. Still on that drought, looking for a victory to bring Roger Penske his 100th. His teammate is out of the race. Headed for turn, Tommy Kendall.
I'll tell you what, this is a classic Al Unser Jr. race, coming from way back with a car that wasn't quick enough in qualifying. Out there all.
You watch Scott Pruitt with a victory this year, trying to stay in the midst of the championship hunt. He has a big opportunity here. The two men immediately ahead of him in the championship. Into the carousel. Long right-hander, now almost completely dry. Headed for the kink, who's still partly wet. Meanwhile, up on the point, Mark Blundell in the blue and day-glow orange car closes up on race leader Alex Zanardi. The 9th race Zanardi has led this year. The most by the next biggest leader is 6th, held by 3 drivers.
It's interesting where the cars are quicker. Before that last caution, Blundell is really quick from turn 6 through 8, but then Alex pulls it out through the carousel and especially through the kink. So it makes for an interesting seesaw. We'll see what happens with the order reversed.
Tommy, I have a little report that Alex Zanardi ran wide at a corner and slipped onto the grass and lost that big lead that he had over Mark Blundell. Would it explain
on the pit stop exchange? This is Hurry Downs, sharply downhill, very muddy turn 8. Several cars went off in our wet morning warm-up. Then through turn 9 and into 10, the famous carousel. Plunging downhill at this point on the racetrack. Zanardi, Blundell, Gugelmin, de Ferrin, Fittipaldi, and Pruitt. The top 6 will be back in a moment.
Some can't see the forest for the trees. And then there are those who spend a lot of time in the forest, in the trees. At Budweiser, we're committed to conservation, education, and responsible activities afield. Through partnerships of a great American tradition, so the great American hunter will always be right where he belongs. To good times and the great outdoors, this Bud's for you.
In racing, the engine is everything.
What? It's the driver.
A driver will never see a finish line without a great engine.
The greatest engine will never see a victory lap. Great driver.
At least they agree on Havoline Formula 3 motor oil, the same oil you can buy right off the shelf. And also try Havoline Life Antifreeze.
The engine's the first thing over the finish line.
Not an IndyCar.
Last year wasn't their year. The thing that matters. The Redskins are coming to town with a beefed-up defense. NFL preseason. Washington at Miami, Thursday, 8 p.m. Only on ESPN.
Race Andretti and Al Unser Jr. to the streets of Vancouver, British Columbia. Between them, Unser Jr. and Andretti have won every time in the streets of Vancouver. Join us for the most Welcome back to Road America. You ride with race leader and points leader Alex Zanardi. Could he be on the road to the PPG Cup and the $1 million bonus?
Off this weekend, and you know, I don't know if we could have cut Alex and Mark up front, but you know, we could have been a third place car, I think. And you know, we made a couple changes that I don't think were the right way, but you know, they're as much my decision as anyone's, and it's just pure and simple. I made a mistake. I got inside of Bob into Canada corner. It was wet on the inside there, and it just spun into the gravel.
Is anybody conceding this championship yet to Zanardi?
Not yet, no.
All right, there you hear it as they head for Vancouver.
Vancouver will be the home track for Greg Moore. If Alex Zanardi can come through to win this race, he will eliminate 5 men of the 10 who came into this weekend with a shot at the PPG Cup. Raul Boesel and Mark Blundell, who runs second in the race right now. There's Al Unser Jr., who would probably trade every point he has right now for a race victory. It's been a long time.
Absolutely. I don't think that Al is thinking championship. He's definitely thinking about posting a win before the end of this season.
Down the high-speed backstretch, slightly downhill, lowest point of the racetrack. There you see Al Unser Jr.'s march through the field to his current 7th place. Was right at this point on the track last year with the race lead that the engine and his Penske let go. It was another bitter pill for Unser Jr. Up front, Alex Zanardi with Mark Blundell just behind him. This is for the lead. We have 9 laps remaining. The upper left, you have the gap for the individual driver. Flashing across the start-finish line, 8 laps remaining. Just over 24 miles between Alex Zanardi and what could be his 4th victory in the last 5 races. There's the view out the back of Alex's car. Mark Blundell will have to do it over again and try to close on the Flying Italian. We'll be back to Road America.
Most people, accident can put all that at risk. Insurance companies, the system, endless paperwork. Not sure? Call me. I'll help you decide. I'm Charles Zellers. It doesn't cost you anything because we don't get our money until you get your money. We believe there's only one kind of good deal, and that's a fair one.
The Floor Store. Quality products, professional installation, and pricing that won't be beat. Styles of tightly knit long-wearing carpet at only $8.99 a square yard. Robin's solid oak hardwood flooring at only $2.99 a square foot. Also see all the many different flooring and wall products available.
The Floor Store in Corbin. Expect to pay less.
Pounds. Your head rings. Your palms sweat. Imagine how the drivers feel.
to be careful here. And he goes under, headed for turn 5.
Wow, it looks like Al Jr. he was heading both on Goodyear. You can't chalk it up to the tires, but little Al looks like he's gotten as far forward as he's going to get.
Tommy Kendall joining us today on our broadcast, winner of 10 straight SCCA Trans Am races, including yesterday's stop in the rain here at Road America. And Rahal now drawing away from Unser Jr.'s Penske. There is That's a strong run for the young California driver, now living in Nevada, driving for John Della Pena, famed for picking great young stars. Still working with the Lola. They're making plans for next year to use a different sort of chassis, and there's a rumor going around before the year is out. See the dirt and mud on the side pod of the car. Meanwhile, there's Hilda. Third in points coming in. He has the chance to move past Paul Tracy. Alex Zanardi turned a lap at 139.548 miles an hour. That's his fastest lap of the day. If we were to award the points now in the upper left of your screen, Alex Zanardi would have 168. Gilles de Ferran 128, and Paul Tracy would drop from second to third with 121. Greg Moore along with Paul Tracy both out of the race. Michael Andretti, who was also out, would spot on. Looking back from Gilles de Ferran, there is Christian Fittipaldi, another driver who has moved forward.
Bob, with Christian, that may be a story of what might have been. Remember, he's still having problems with that ECU unit, and he's still running in 4th place.
And having started in 18th, that's a pretty stout march. Christian Fittipaldi comes from the Formula One ranks as well. Here's who's at home watching Christian in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Key Biscayne, Florida, his American home. 10 to 15 relatives sitting around watching the SBT Brazilian network. Our colleagues from SBT are with us at every stop in the PPG Car Series. Local time was to have been 4:30 p.m. Nothing like that. Favorite son in action here in North America. Climbing the hill to turn 6. Good look at Christian. Now there's Adrian Fernandez, who's been off and on the track today. It has now been confirmed by CART officials that we are going the full, driving the Lola chassis for Steve Horn's Tasman Motorsports Group. There's the top 6. We'll be back.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me.
I just adore a penthouse view. Darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue.
The chores.
The stores.
Fresh air.
Times Square.
Ford Explorer. It's at home anywhere.
Lazier.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy Vassar. How can I help you?
At Firestone, we take our competitive tradition. Now come price.
Champion, and notice that black splotch at the top of his helmet for a moment. Clear.
I think we should point out as well that
there is Jimmy Vassar, the reigning PPG CART champion, and notice that black splotch at the top of his helmet. For a moment, we all thought it might be a tire mark, which would have been extremely frightening. But on closer inspection, it appears that Jimmy has taped up the gaps around his helmet visor to try to keep it clear.
I think we should point out as well that Jimmy, we saw that scoring. Jimmy has started 13th, now down to 9th. Doesn't sound real spectacular, but he was actually knocked off. He's been off the track. He's dropped way back, and he's fought his way back up to 9th spot.
You told me earlier today, Danny, these guys were all going to earn their money, and they have. Vassar is 10th. There will be 2 laps remaining next time by the flag stand. Now you ride with Zanardi. Oh, and Mark Blundell has a fire. Blundell, who was running 2nd, pulls off on the backstretch.
I can tell you that is the most frustrating situation you can have. 2 laps from home, running strong 2nd spot, comfortable, good points, and boom.
Danny, I was down here watching the telemetry, and you could see the oil pressure just drop on the screen, and then we looked up and saw the flames.
You see the local yellow. Mark Blundell would be advised to get out of that position pretty quickly.
That is almost a carbon copy of where Al Jr. let go last year. Same place, same motor, everything within in almost the same lap.
On board with Alex Zanardi under the Toyota bridge. This is turn 6.
That really takes the heat off of Alex Zanardi. He can not stroke it, but he can be a little bit more gentle, save the equipment, not have to worry about it.
About 10 seconds behind is this man's teammate. This is Mark Blundell, his teammate. Once more, the elevator goes up. Finish line. Sunset here at Road America. And heading on the championship hopes of all but about 4 other drivers in the PPG Kart World Series. There's Mauricio Gucci, who's 2nd. Absolute dominator in the last 5 races, winning 4 of them, finishing 2nd in the 5th, and moving into firm control of the lead for the PPG Cup.
I tell you, you've got to love Alex Zanardi. Here he is in the thick of the championship, and up win.
Tommy, like everybody who's won a championship, you got to drive how it got you there. He's driven hard all season. He drove hard last year. It's what took him to the front of the championship, and there is no point in changing that strategy.
And as Chip Ganassi was saying a bit earlier, in the mid stages of this race, it has to be a thinking man's race, and I think he's going to be as happy another win.
Well, credit all the guys you just saw on Alex Zanardi's timing stand. Chip Ganassi, engineer Mo Nunn, the rest of the team. They have impeccable when it comes to finishing races this year. Both Jimmy Vassar and Alex Zanardi. The consistency is there to take one of them to the championship. The checkered flag waves over Alex Zanardi, looking more and more like a champion in 1997. There is Brian Herta, who was 9th beginning the last lap. He is now stopped. It looks like it's down in the turn 8 area.
It looked at the angle that he was, that he possibly spun that car because he was facing against the track.
Well, we have been on the spin cycle all day long as the celebrations break out once again in the Ganassi team pits. A lot of laps led and the race victory. That'll mean another big check written by Target Team Ganassi Racing to the St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. $5,000 for the victory, $25 per lap for each lap led. Alex Zanardi, fist in the air. Life is good. Will he do it? Will he do it?
Michael came onto the scene in IndyCars as a winner. I'm very proud of the fact that he's carrying on the Andretti name. I'll never forget the first really competitive pass that he did on me. We banged wheels a little bit, and he was gone. Adios, Dada.
The Andrettis rely on the same Havoline Formula 3 motor oil you can buy right off the shelf.
That's my boy.
And for your cooling system, get Havoline Extended Life Antifreeze.
this comes along tough, rugged, solid to the core. And J.D. Power & Associates ranked it best compact pickup in initial quality. Just arrived. At your Toyota dealers now.
You and me.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Texaco Havoline 200 is being brought to you by Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Toyota Motorsports, our minds are always racing. And by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time.
Enjoying the jubilation that goes along with a tremendous run now that's seen him win 4 of the last 5 and 5 on the year. They didn't want him to spin donuts, the card officials. The no matter where he is in the racetrack, and why not with the success. Alex saluting his crew. Tell us about this one and how tough was it to be patient today to not make a mistake?
It was very difficult, Gary. Sorry, I know it's not a good manner to talk with your mentor, but
we'll forgive you this time. Huh?
Well, I did some mistakes, and fortunately enough, I was able to come back all the time. I think we won the race in the pits today. We passed off.
It's good. Yes, indeed. Marty Reed?
Yes, we're over here with Gugelman, whose jacket. Go ahead if you need to button it up, because I know it's getting kind of damp and very breezy for you. So close again, second place. Take us through. Were you having heart failure when you saw it might happen to you too?
Got my concern. I had a problem in qualifying. Actually, on time on Friday, I had a problem, but unfortunately happened to him this time. I was running very hard in the beginning, and the car was running well for a few laps, but then I started losing traction, and I couldn't really run with those guys, either Zanardi or Mark. But in the end, I just got a lucky break. It was unfortunate for Mark.
As far as this race, though, I mean, are you getting to the point where you are wondering if you're ever going to get a victory?
Oh, and we got second today. We didn't quite have the car for the win, but we keep hammering up there. We're going to get one.
All right, Mo Gugelman, second place. Bob?
All right, thanks very much. Here's a look at the final results. 5th victory of the year for Alex Zanardi. He becomes the second man this season to win 3 in a row. Paul Tracy was the other. Mauricio Gugelman finishes second. There you see 7th through 12th. Richie Hearn equaling his best career finish in 9th place. And for those at the back, disappointment, especially for Greg Moore. And for the likes of Michael Andretti and Dario Franchitti. And of course, Paul Tracy. With a big lead over Gilles de Ferran, Paul Tracy, Greg Moore, and Michael Andretti. And those 5 drivers remain the only 5 in the running for the championship. Final thoughts, Danny Sullivan?
My thoughts are that Alex Zanardi did everything that he had to for his championship, extended his lead, and the other guys that were in the hunt, Michael Andretti, Greg Moore, they all faltered. Paul Tracy, with that incident, they all fell that little bit behind. It's going to be very tough for them to clinch that championship now.
10th victory of the year for Firestone and their 8th in a row. 5th win for Honda as they close up on Mercedes in the battle for engine manufacturer honors. There's Michael Andretti's car being pulled out. Tommy Kendall, your thoughts?
Sometimes it's a better pit stop, and oftentimes it comes down to him. He always finds a way to get it done. I'm a little bit jealous of those burnout marks. I'm going to have to put a beefier clutch in my Mustang so I can compete on that level as well.
All right, thanks very much, Tommy. Thanks for being with us, and we want to wish you a lot of luck with the rest of the Trans Am season. Christian Fittipaldi finished 4th. He's standing by with Marty Reed.
Well, actually, it turns out it's Gary, but that's all right, Bob. We know it's been a long day.